No worries.
So, Callum, how have you and the family been, mate?
Yeah, good. Good. Obviously back to pre-season and stuff now. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good to spend time with the family and stuff. But obviously now back
Yeah.
to business and training again.
Reality.
Yeah, yeah,
Especially in the weather, mate. Bloody hell.
yeah. Well,
So,
especially this week, it's been pretty cold. So
yeah, grim.
yeah. Tomorrow,
Yeah.
tomorrow I think tomorrow I think we're out. I think we're supposed to be outside first in the morning, but I think they've changed it now because the
Yeah.
pitch might be frozen, so it needs a bit of sun on it, or
I
some kind of warmth anyway.
was
But
going to say,
we'll
they'll
see.
do well up here,
Yeah,
won't they?
yeah,
Right, mate. So, before we get stuck into your rugby story, mate, where was home for you as a kid and who lived at home with you?
yeah. Well, I live with my mum and dad. I lived in Stretford, which is 10 minutes away from Old Trafford in Manchester. So yeah, I grew up there. I I've got an older brother, Cashley. He played a little bit of rugby now and again. He plays rugby union now. Plays at Burnage.
Oh,
Um,
right, okay.
yeah, he's just gone 35, so 3 years older than me. And
Yeah.
obviously, I live with my mum and dad, but they split up pretty early, so we lived together there for quite a while till I went into high school, and then I moved over to South Manchester,
Right.
a place called Altrincham.
Yeah.
And my mum lives there still to this day, so with her new partner and stuff. So my dad still he lives in Old Trafford. He's had a partner for a long time. Um, she's from Leeds, so he trails here and there from Leeds. So and always comes to the rugby. So yeah, um, my childhood was pretty fun, to be honest, mate. It was
Yeah.
I was well looked after, despite
Good.
all the circumstances and stuff. But rugby, once we got into the rugby stuff, it was a lot of time was spent with my dad, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was good fun. Loved it.
Yeah. So, United fan, Cal?
Yeah, United fan. Yeah,
Thankfully,
it's a
mate.
bit of a
Yeah, we're
mixture.
struggling at
It's
the
a bit
minute,
of a
aren't we?
mixture because my brother and my dad they're City fans. Um, but I used to hang out with my cousin quite a lot, and
Right.
he at the time he was a United fan, but we were young kids back then. And he ended up turning
Yeah.
into a City fan. So I don't know whether it was because I know a lot of people that are from Manchester and they're not United fans. Like
Yeah.
the United fans seem to be more global than anything else. It's more everywhere else. Everyone else seems to be a United fan. But then when you find people in Manchester, they're all City fans. So yeah,
Right.
um, yeah,
Imagine that's changed though, Cal, because when we were growing up, mate, we were pretty lucky with the class of '92 sort of thing, weren't we, in the treble and that.
yeah, yeah. It was the glory days, as they call it, back
Yeah,
then.
they seem so long
Not
ago,
so
don't they?
glory now. Not so glorious now. They're not doing too great, to be honest, as a club. But um, yeah, the big thing for me was obviously they played the grand finals there at Old Trafford, and that was something that
Yes.
my dad and my brother used to go to all the time, from the start, from like '98 onwards.
Yeah.
So um, once we got started in the rugby side of it, we started to go to games, big games and stuff like that, like Great Britain games, even like the big teams back then, the big rivalries back then. Like Bradford used to be really we're a special club back
Yeah.
then. They used to play against like Saints, or we used to go to them games. My dad used to take me to them games like on a Friday night
Oh,
and
at
stuff.
their ground, you mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
their grounds. Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't necessarily because I'm a Salford supporter at that, back then because we had
Yeah.
a season ticket and stuff there. We'd go there, but a lot of the time they were Sunday games. So
Yeah.
uh, on an odd occasion, we'd go to like say like a Wigan Bradford game at Wigan,
Yeah.
or say Ellen's versus Wigan game or something like that. Or when Leeds started obviously competing as well, we used to go watch Leeds as
Yeah.
well quite a bit. So um,
All right. Okay.
yeah, it's rugby mad, to be honest with it.
Yeah. Class as a kid, that though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's class. Especially
Yeah.
especially the Great Britain games back then, the Great Britain games, the Test series against the
Yeah.
Australians and stuff. Like when looking back now, like grateful for being able to go and witness
Witness
games like that.
greatness.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
witness that, and
yeah.
like thinking one
With
day that
the
could,
dead
you know,
heavy
one day that could be
jerseys and that.
myself. Yeah, the jerseys
Yeah,
and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, the dead heavy ones.
yeah, yeah. No classic
Yeah.
ones, there, man.
Classic,
Yeah,
what? Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
the actual classic made the Aussie one, didn't they? And they were dead
yeah.
hard to get hold of and that. Yeah,
Oh yeah, massively. Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard. It's really hard to get hold of.
So was from an outset then, mate, with you being in a like pretty much a sport mad upbringing, one it was like Great Britain a target? Was that the ultimate dream, mate?
Yeah, I think so. I think,
Yeah,
especially from the first couple of times we went to the grand finals and we started watching the international stuff, kind of look back and think that's where I want to be. That's
yeah,
the target. That's the aim, to be in them positions where playing against the best teams and the best players in the world. Um,
yeah,
you know, and it was my life really. It was just kind of taking over everything, and
yeah,
my dad was so enthusiastic in that sense. Albeit my dad never played rugby. He was all football. Um,
yeah,
and he worked as a labourer in Trafford Park, not too far from the Trafford Centre. But he had a lot of guys that grew up in Salford and knew a lot about rugby, and we got involved in terms of that. I think it was about 5 6 years of age. Started doing little bits of training sessions, and then obviously started playing games, and that was our weekends really. That's what covered our weekends, and me and my brother were pretty hyperactive as kids. You know, wasn't stuck in the rooms all the time. Was
yeah,
wanting to go out and play and go and obviously play rugby as well. Which is as soon as I started playing it, at first I didn't want to get tackled,
yeah,
but yeah, after that I started running around a little bit, scored a few tries, and then that that
yeah.
that feeling kind of helped me push on to continue with it really. So yeah.
So where was your junior club, mate? And did you simply go off the back of your dad's mates at work?
Yeah, so I first started off at Langwoodville Reds,
Yeah,
based in Salford. So um, I knew a couple of people there, and there was a woman that coached us, a woman called Karen Jackson, and she helped me massively in terms of obviously introducing us into the game, but helping us with training and learning the basics, really, learning the basics, and then obviously making new friends and just going there and enjoying being together and training and playing and stuff. It just made it fun, you know. Then weekends were really fun to do that, and then it was kind of difficult at the time because I was playing with my brother who was obviously 3 years older than me, so
right.
a lot of them players were older than me, so they were 2 3 years
Yeah,
older than me. And during that time, the rules and stuff you could play a couple of years older,
okay.
and then it got to a point where um, I had to move to another team. We both moved to another team, me and my brother. It's called Salford Juniors, but I think they merged with Eccles,
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah, they merged with Eccles. But before that, it was just Salford Juniors. So we played there a couple of years, but we played um, about our own age group. I didn't play with my brother then, but
yeah,
I played. I think I played a year above the team, a year
right.
above. I think then the rules changed a couple of years after that, saying that
Yeah,
you had to play for your own age, basically. I don't know what happened with it, but then I had to
yeah.
then move again because I had to play for a team my age group. So I went to a club called Follow Lane in
Oh yeah,
Swinton, which was a bit further down the road, but that's really how it kind of got cracking, and obviously then moved obviously moved to South Manchester, which was it was difficult because Manchester's pretty big, and South Manchester is like halfway towards Warrington, but then halfway
yeah,
towards Salford. So I moved clubs again. So I moved to
yeah.
a team in Warrington called Latchford Albion at the
Okay.
time. They're called
Yeah,
Latchford
yeah,
Giants. Um, so I played there for like two years, but that kind of really set me up. Really, that set me up
yeah.
for getting getting picked up by Leeds.
Right, mate. So when you're doing this, then, mate, is it Do you remember much about the early days? So did you have to queue up and wait for him to flip your card up and go Callum, and you had to like stand and show your
Yeah,
face and all
yeah.
that?
So some memories back then. Well, obviously
Yeah,
we played the amateur seasons. We played it in winter, so
yeah,
um, always played in the cold, always played in the mud, rain, whatever, everything.
yeah,
Yeah, and the memories are pretty fun. Having to stand there in the cold, get your name called out, the
yeah,
cards and stuff with your little picture on and stuff, and
yeah, yeah. You'd have to
it's
stand
pretty
there like
class.
that, didn't
Well, I
you?
laugh at it because my older son plays. My older son,
Yeah,
he's played his first year this year, and I think it's a bit different now. It's not cards or anything like that. There's got a big clipboard now with the names and stuff on it.
yeah. All right.
But they have to, you have to register them. So you have to register them up online,
Yeah,
basically. And then if they wanted to go somewhere else, you have to like register again, like for a transfer. So then you transfer
yeah,
his obviously him over to another team. But yeah, it was
yeah.
kind of strange looking at that when we seen him get his name called out and stuff like that. It's pretty funny. It reminds me back then.
Well, do you know what, mate? So I'd have been 14. So when you were 13, 14, that come in that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and like depending if you played like service area or town team, you had to pay to be transferred.
yeah.
It's heavy for kids,
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
pretty
Like
heavy.
we're on about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
think with
was
that
there
as well. I think with that as well. Like,
yeah,
I had issues in terms of like playing for Latchford at the time because I was on Salford scholarship,
yeah.
and there was some sort of ruling that I couldn't be on Salford scholarship and play for a Warrington based team.
Yes, I
So
remember
I had
that,
to get.
mate.
I then had to leave Salford scholarship, which was a big thing because
Yeah,
we train once a week. We train once a week wherever it may be in Salford. Um,
yeah,
and you train with like older players and stuff like that. So you're learning off a lot of players. And then academy players was training there around the same time. So would see them. You see like Salford players back then.
yeah,
I can remember maybe like Steph Ratchford and Jordan
yeah,
Turner. I remember them players. They were going into just about going into academy, or they're on scholarship or high scholarship anyway. A couple of years, a year or two older. Um, yeah, but then I have to leave that then to play for Latchford, but it kind of worked out well in the end because they
in
ended
the
up
end,
going to
yeah, yeah,
Leeds. So from that,
yeah,
if obviously that didn't happen, it probably would have looked like starting at Salford around that time.
yeah, yeah. So a few of my age, mate, had to blag that an auntie or like a grandparent lived in St Helens to play for Blackbrook because they were on witness scholarship. I
Yeah,
remember that. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. You had to prove address and that. It's sad though, isn't it? I
yeah,
know it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's
During that time, it was pretty. I was like thinking, why are these things happening? Why do you have to do that? But
yeah,
my mum's postcode is a Warrington postcode. It's a Cheshire one, so that's
right.
how I got basically being able to transfer back over there. So that kind of helped
Right.
me in the end.
Okay, mate. So year six or year five, mate, was town team something that you'd done, or did you get invited for trials and stuff?
Yeah, we did. Obviously played at Salford Town team, and then for the 2 or 3 years, and then obviously the last one was at Warrington. So I did 1 year at
Yeah,
Warrington as well. One time at
right.
Warrington. Um, did that. They used to do the camps at. They used to do the camps in near Blackpool, where they picked a good number of players, and you'd be put into different teams. So I think it was all the Lancashire areas, and then the Cumbrian area as well. So they picked the best players from the Cumbrian area and the best players from the Lancashire area. I did that a couple of years where we go into camp. We were there for like I don't know whether like 4 or 5 days or something like that. We do a camp, and it'll be an ongoing load of things. It would be a lot of training, and then you get examined. You'd get examined on how you passed, how you tackled, um, and then mark you off by that. And then the last day, you'd play against the other teams. So you'd be split into teams. You'd have different coloured shirts, and you'd play against the other teams. you get put in this position, then you'd have to play. We did that for a few years, and then they picked then a national team. And early on, you didn't. I think you get picked for a national team, but then you didn't really play. But then I think it was the last 2 years or a year or so, you get picked for the national team, and this is for like the England schools team. So you get picked for that, and then you get picked for like the Northwest or Lancashire team. Then you play again. You play like basically it's like a trial or for scouts and stuff. So scouts will come round and watch. Then you play against Yorkshire, you play against Cumbria, and then that's how they pick. That's how at that time they picked the England schools team around that time. So I think that was like under 16s, and the 16s were in that time. So it was kind of a pathway. So you played service area, then you play, and then you get picked for like this camp
Inter-regional stuff.
The regional camps. That's what they called it. Yeah, regional camps. And you get picked for a national camp, and then you play each other from each region, and then they pick like an England team from that.
Right. Okay, mate. And what was you like as a kid in like a new environment? I know you've had to move a little bit, but club level to like regional, international level, very different, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Obviously, you're there in camp, and then you played against these players week in week out. But then you got to try and then build a relationship and stuff, and enjoy time with each other at that time. Look, I was pretty laid back. I'm just a laid back kind of character anyway, so I kind of really got on with everybody. I just, hung around, enjoyed our time, and for me, it was just about enjoying yourself while you're there, enjoying yourself while things happen, and obviously everybody there had their goals and what they wanted to achieve. What comes out of this? You want to get picked, don't you? So there was obviously competitive nature there, which was great, but and brought the best out of everyone. And we got quite a few players there. I think that I knew back then. A few players ended up playing in the first teams and playing in Super League or in the Championship and stuff like that. And it could be quite a number of players that did that, but then there'll be a lot of players that didn't make it. A lot of players
and that's what the system can do, Cal, isn't it?
That's what the system can do. Like I played at a team at Latchford, and in that last year we won we nearly won everything. We got knocked out of the National Cup, but we won the Lancashire Cup and we won the league. And we had to beat a team. We had to beat Oral, and they were unbeaten for I think it was like 2-3 years or something like that. And Johnny Lomax was playing for them. I'm trying to think who else. I can't remember a couple of the other players, but he was like the main guy for them. It was probably him. He was probably the best player at our age group. Like he was the one that stood out compared to everybody else. He's the one that stood out. And we had to beat them at their place, and it was the only time. I think it was the only time they've been beat for like 2-3 years or something like that. And we beat them, and we won the league from that, from winning that, which was amazing. We had a great team, and a lot of them went on to then play academy for Warrington. A lot of them did. A lot of them got into scholarships, but then didn't really press on from it. I think who made it in the first team was myself and then Joe Mellor. He played at Widnes for Wigan. He signed up at Wigan for a long time, and he played at Widnes for quite a bit as well. And then obviously he's at Wigan.
Yeah, he did, mate.
And it shows though. It's crazy how you can have such a good team with great amount of players, and you're only getting 2 out of that can play first team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There'll be a couple of players that have played League One, Championship, maybe.
Yeah. National conference and that as well, which is still good, isn't it, mate?
Still playing now. They could be still playing now.
Yeah.
From what I know, but it's crazy how that can happen.
Yeah. So was you someone that walked around in all the Puma stash, Cal?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I used to look at you lot. That's that gear.
You know what? I'll probably get into my dad a little bit. I wonder if he's got any kind of kit. It kind of reminds me of that, back then, obviously. But I
it was
reckon my
the
dad
in
might
thing,
have
wasn't it?
something. My dad might have something
Yeah,
creeping about. Because maybe I'm trying to think, because you ended up with these. When you got picked for national camp, you had to. We all trained in like the same coloured t-shirts. I think it was like a black top, one of these black tops, and had a number on it and stuff. I wonder if my dad's still got that, but I'd have to
it'd be
get
funny
hold of
that,
him.
wouldn't
It would,
it?
yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
But I
because
end up,
them
I'll ask my
trainers
dad,
with
and
the strap with him, weren't they?
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
remember them where it went like over and back across, like Puma were like the big thing for that couple of years, weren't they?
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it were. They were good kids, man, back then.
yeah, yeah,
Really good
yeah.
kids.
Then you
Yeah,
went
couldn't
from
complain
Stag
about
to
that.
Puma overnight.
Yeah, would have been all right. Nice, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah. Do you know what'd be funny, mate? To see you in one of them, and then to
yeah,
see your little player card.
yeah.
That'd
It
be
would be
buff,
class,
like
wouldn't
because I'm a chubby lad anyway, but as a kid, mate, you just like that
it?
without the muzzy, like.
Yeah,
So
that'd be class. You know what? I get.
it would,
You know what? I'll ask my dad. I'll ask my dad if see if he
yeah,
can get see if he's
dig some
got something
out.
because he'll have something
Yeah,
definitely.
class. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And so while we're on it, mate, are you not one for keepsakes then?
What's that?
So are you not one for like keepsakes? I'm quite sentimental. I didn't get to the standards you lads got. But
Yeah.
would you keep little like tokens and just think like that's something to look back on and understand what you've achieved?
Well, a lot. I reckon my dad kept quite a bit of that stuff.
Yeah.
Kits and we go to games and stuff like that.
Scrapbooks and stuff.
Yeah, my dad
Yeah.
would always buy. My dad would always buy the programs,
Yeah.
everything like that. Scarves, old rubber shirts. Like we
Yeah.
collect quite a lot of things. But I reckon my dad's kept keeping it somewhere. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Class. Little gold
um,
mine.
yeah, definitely, I'll have a go of mine.
Yeah.
Gathering dust at the minute. So yeah, I'd have to see what he's got there. But yeah,
Yeah.
we keep a lot of things definitely. My dad was massive on with that, and obviously when I started playing them first team, my mum kept quite a lot of things that was written in the paper or like
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
And she's got a scrapbook and stuff like that. And then a lot of the early times when obviously my debut shirt, internationals when I played against the Aussies for the first time. I remember I played the
Yeah.
Aussies for the first time, World Cup, and I played opposite Greg Inglis, and I ended up getting his shirt. So still got that
Class.
shirt at my mum's. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
just stuff like that. It's gone on from as a
Yeah.
kid, and then all the way from now. Kept a lot of stuff.
Super. Class. I want to see the bit where you're signing your contract in the two middle pages, like the scholarship stuff where everyone used to queue up for the pictures.
Yeah, yeah. I reckon it'll be. I reckon either my dad or my mum will have some sort of
Something like that.
picture or paper like
Yeah,
scrapped up before that. So
brilliant, mate. So, how did you find school, Cal? And how was your transition into high school, mate? Did sport help, do you think?
yeah, I think definitely massively. Sport massively helped. It was like I say, it was my weekends. Took over my weekends. School was fun. School was fun. We had a lot of fun at school, and obviously transitioning from then primary school to high school is obviously a big thing. And I didn't go to the same high school as my brother. My brother went to a school in Stretford, and it didn't have the best reputation, to be fair. And
Yeah,
my mum didn't really want me to go there, so I ended up going to another school. She picked out a school in Sale. It's called Sale High now. At the time, it was called Jeff Joseph. But yeah, went there, and obviously we had a couple of guys that I knew from my school end up going there as well. So that kind of helped the transition over there was pretty simple, to be fair, because it wasn't as if I was meeting new people, but at the same time I had other people that I knew that went there.
yeah,
We all got on the same bus. Like you were well looked after. We were well looked after in that sense. And then we met new people, which was good. And obviously my best friend as well, my best friend Dwayne. He obviously we're still really, really good friends now. And we met obviously from year 7 onwards, and so he's been part of the journey as well for the rugby side of it as well. So you
What it's
know,
about, Cal, innit?
yeah, that's what it's all
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
That is what it's all
yeah.
about. And you make friends for life and stuff like that. And from school as well, like yeah, I speak to a couple of people from school, and they always asking how we're doing and stuff like that with the rugby side of it, because they they were obviously really interested with finding out the rugby side of it. Once you get to
Yeah,
know people, once they knew that I was playing rugby, and I kind of wanted to take it real serious. This is what I wanted to do.
yeah,
Um, a lot of people took quite an interest in it from school, so still speak to them people now that have always shown interest, like even teachers as well. So teachers
brilliant.
were I remember at school we just before we left, what about our head of year? Our head of year was got everyone to like get us to go and sign a rugby ball. So sign a rugby ball, and obviously, you leavers do. You get everyone to write something on your shirt or your polo shirt. I ended up getting a rugby ball, so everyone we got teachers and stuff to sign it as well. And head of year was
Yeah.
like, "We can't wait to see you at Wembley one day." And I was like, "That's mad." And then
Class, that,
you
innit?
know, what was it? 6 years later, I ended up playing at Wembley. So yeah, it's
Brilliant.
yeah, just I had a lot of support back then. I had a lot of support
Yeah,
back then, which was incredible. Um, yeah, I at times I was up and down in terms of behaviour and stuff. There, I think a lot of my sole focus was the rugby side of it.
yeah,
It wasn't more on education and doing the exams and stuff. That was something that I wasn't really keen on. But I did it.
yeah,
Got good grades out of it. But if I was really focused on it, I probably would have got better
yeah.
results out of that. But I was happy with the results that I got, despite
Mm.
yeah going to school and
Like
obviously
cruising
being in
sort of thing,
lessons.
Cal.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
it. I was
yeah,
too focused on rugby and wanting to make it in rugby. So um,
right,
that was always put on the back burner. But yeah,
yeah,
but my mum was big on that though, because when I did sign for Leeds, my mum was like, "You have to put some sort of education in there first." And Leeds were the same. Leeds were exactly the same.
right,
They made that a priority for me to
yeah,
to make sure that I was doing some sort of education there. So did like a sports science degree there. So at college. So um,
yeah.
yeah, just learn the ins and outs of like coaching, physiotherapy, just stuff like that. That's involved in sports, everything like the data and obviously looking at video and analyzing stuff like that. Just learned stuff like
Yeah.
that through college. So yeah,
Without knowing as well, mate, it's probably improved your game without you realising that.
exactly. I think so. I think
Like micro analysing your own little movements and techniques and stuff in it, mate.
yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah,
once you know how the full time environment and how it works, but obviously as a player, you're focusing on your own kind of performance and how the team's going, but you obviously then see how everything's done in the background, what the coaches do, what the staff do, which help us perform at the best you can, the best possible performance that you can bring as well. They give you the ingredients, they give everything that wants you to go out there and perform at 100%. You have that's part of being a professional. They make it professional for you. They structure it for you. So yeah, it's how it
the
is.
onus is on you at that point, mate, innit?
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think that's with players as well. I think you're going to have your own ambitions and your own motivations. Everything that happens through life. So um, you want to succeed as a rugby league player. There's ways of doing that. You got to work hard to get what you want out of it, because
yeah,
you soon get found out, especially in this game. Soon you get found out if you're not doing things properly. You
yeah.
get found out pretty quickly. So yeah, learned that
So
quite a bit. I
when
learned
you
that.
go, sorry, mate.
Sorry, mate. I learned that quite a bit
Yeah,
from my dad, and I
yeah,
learned that from my mum as well about working hard. Um,
yeah,
Anything that you want to get or gain or achieve, you have to work hard for it. For
yeah.
the training sessions, my dad used to take me 2 or 3 hours before even the training started. So he taught me to be early. He taught me to practice, to work hard on the basics of everything of rugby, and that kind of helped me progress. As a player, it
Yeah.
helped me. It's still things that I do now. It's a lot of learning from back then, because I always kind of
Yeah.
reflect for back then, because at the time as a kid you think, what am I doing 2 3 hours before
Yeah,
two
of
three hours
course you do,
before
mate. Yeah,
sat
yeah.
there sat there in the car, we'd listen to the radio quite a bit,
Just have
and
Butty in a cling film and get on with it, innit?
yeah, that's it,
Yeah, yeah,
and then you
yeah,
think about it, and yeah, I just think, wow, that helped me get to where I am today massively.
yeah. Setting your standards early, weren't he? Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm a person
class.
to get on with things, and any kind of adversity, I try and be calm about it, um, because anxiety and everything grows into that. And I think
Yeah,
you learn as you go on. You learn as you go on, but you try and stay in the moment. Really, I try and stay in the moment as best as I can, and not worry about too much. But things happen. Things always happen in everybody's lives.
yeah.
It's just how you kind of deal with it and learn from it.
It is, mate. So, with you saying you went Sale High, as it's called now, predominantly a rugby union area, mate. That isn't it?
Yeah,
So, at school, did you play both courts?
didn't play any. They didn't even
Oh,
have a
didn't you?
team. No, didn't even
All
have a
right.
team. No, I think the grammar school which further down they had a rugby union team, but I think we did 2 or 3 rugby league training sessions, and they weren't keen on it. No, they played football. Football was massive there. I did play football quite a bit. They put me in goal because they knew I could catch and kick, so they just
It
put me in
helps, doesn't
goal. I actually
it?
did all right. I did all right at the time, but then obviously I had to then train with Leeds midweek, so a lot of the time I had to
Okay.
miss the games. So
Yeah.
so they play on a Wednesday. We had to go over to Leeds on a Wednesday. So my dad would. I think it was usually the last lesson. I'll go into the last lesson for the 20 minutes, and
Yeah.
then my dad would pick me up, and then I'd have to travel all the way to Leeds for a training session.
Right.
So
Okay.
it shows that also shows the sacrifice that my dad made as well, because he took
Yeah.
took us here, there, and everywhere. Really, he was just obsessed with making sure that we were all right and making sure that we enjoyed what we wanted to do, and he was a massive help in that.
Right. So, how did signing Salford scholarship form come round, mate? Before we go on to switch to Leeds.
I think it was kind of early on. I think it might have been 11 or 12. They,
Right.
they picked quite a few of the players on, on my team. I think at the time I just got to Folly Lane at the time, so I think we had
Yeah.
quite a few players there that we had a couple of players that were on scholarship there already, and then they just picked us up from there. I think we did quite a few training sessions during that time. I think we did some swimming sessions, and we did a lot of training behind the school. Um, a lot of the things I can't really remember much, but I
Yeah.
do remember the odd times. I think we did like wrestling session, tackling sessions, and stuff at this place. It's pretty similar to the place. I don't know whether it's the same place, but we're training at this wrestling place now in Eccles, and it was kind of similar like that, but I think it was somewhere else. But yeah,
Right.
just an odd occasion. We train maybe once a week. We
Yeah.
do. We ended up training at a place called Segba, which was near. It's near Bury. It's in Bury, I think.
Yeah.
So we trained there, but it had obviously a training pitch, but it had the gym and stuff as well in there. So kind of got introduced to the weights and stuff through them really. But I wasn't there long. I don't think I think I was there for about a year or so, just over a year. And then
Okay,
obviously
mate.
moved over.
Yeah. And always playing centre at this point, Cal?
Now I was a lot
No.
of the time I was playing that standoff or either or fullback, standoff or
Yeah.
fullback. I was playing, and when I moved to Latchford, I played centre quite a bit, left and right, and then ended up being fullback at that time. So then during them regional camps and stuff, I was always a fullback.
All right. And how, as a kid, well, you're still a kid at this point, mate. Not trying to be rude or anything. How did you
That's
see
right.
the game different at 6 or 1? And
To
what
be
did you
fair,
prepare?
the fullback role there, I think, was obviously is different to what it is now. So
Yeah.
the sixth role was probably more of what the fullback was doing now, what the fullbacks are doing now. So um, I try to float around everywhere really, especially as a fullback as well. So just try to get the hands on the ball and stuff, and try and make plays really, whether it was for running myself or trying to get someone else in for a try or a break or something like that. The attacking side of it, but then I think it held me quite accountable. The coach there, Sean Miller, he's Joe Miller's dad. Um, he was coach there at Latchford, and he held me to a high standard, and he kept me accountable. So the attacking side was always good, but he made sure as a fullback you had to defend really well as well, and
Yeah.
organise your team and organise your teammates. So I learned that side of the game more, being able to kind of lead the side in that sense. And yeah, looking back now, it helped me with progressing on, and it helped me get picked up by Leeds, so it was great.
Yeah. And what was the chat when you had to leave Salford, mate? Were they okay with you? Was it difficult for you? Because, like I said, you're still a young lad at this point, aren't you?
Yeah, it was. At the time, it was difficult because his club I supported and stuff. But I felt me and my dad felt it was the best thing for us. The best thing to was to move on, and with our situations where we were living and stuff, we just felt it was easier to do it that way. Which
Yeah.
obviously pushed out the opportunity there to stay at Salford. But obviously now it's kind of worked out well because I'm obviously there at Salford now, which is always a great feeling to play for a club that you supported for majority of your life.
No doubt it is, mate. A proud moment every time. But so when you're having to sort of walk away from a pro club, did I mean, imagine you didn't have anything lined up at that point, mate. You were just going to go play. So was it a bit nervy?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think, but we always felt it was the best decision to make. But at the same time, obviously didn't have anything in place there.
Yeah.
I just got back playing, just basically just started playing again, and hopefully try and get picked up at some point. Obviously, there was possibly an opportunity to get involved with Warrington as well, but Leeds Leeds came in first. So after the regional camps and the national camps,
Yeah.
they kind of got involved, Leeds, and it was kind of an interesting story because my brother, he was playing at Warrington Academy at the time, so they ended up playing Leeds. So they played Leeds under 18s, and Leeds beat him by, I don't know, it was like 40 or 50 points. And I remember a guy called John Bastian, and he was at the national camps. If from what I can remember when I was playing, I'd always see a big, because he's kind of he's a real tall fella, and intimidating presence about him. So I always like knew who he was from that national camp, and knew who he was from there. He was like involved with Leeds and stuff. So um, they also were involved obviously with the academy team because he was coaching the academy team. And then we spoke then. There was a guy called Bob Pickles who was a scout for Leeds. Picked up a lot of players during that time. You're talking like Danny Maggs, Rob Burrows, stuff like that. Like players like that. That he was a guy that picked them up and brought them to the academies and stuff like that. So that he helps massively. And yeah, we had a good chat. And at the time, I was thinking. When I was speaking to him, I was thinking, how did he know me? And then I recognised John, and I thought, oh, he's from the national camps. He came and watched and stuff. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So they said pretty much straight away, look, we've seen you play, but we're really interested in having you over, come and sign on to a scholarship with us. And what they did was they took us to a game. I think it was, what year was it? It was 2006. And they were playing the last home game, which was against Catalan Dragons, and they won. But I got invited to a meal. Me and my dad got invited to a meal, and we sat on the table and we sat with Barry McDermott. And we had he was a great character of our game. It was a great time. We had a laugh and got to know me a little bit, because at the time he was one of the scholarship coaches. At the time, I think it was called Foundation, but the under-16s were called a Foundation team, and he was coaching them. So he was basically trying to get me to sign up and come on a trial for Leeds and stuff like that. So he showed me around, obviously, Leeds. So the stadium was obviously amazing. They had that new stand just built. At one of the ends of the stadium. So we had a meal in there and then watched the game. And then obviously they let us go on the pitch and say hello to the players. So I said hello to the players that, I was watching on TV and stuff. So it was kind of a surreal moment, really. And who'd have thought, 2-3 years later, I was end up running on the field with them, which was amazing. So obviously met Kevin Sinfield, Jamie Peacock, Danny Maguire, Rob Burrow. You name them all. Like it was incredible feeling, really. And then at that time, I completely knew where I wanted to be. I wanted to be here. I wanted to be at Leeds. So from there on, I went on and signed on the scholarship and that there, and obviously trained there once a week. And then came to a point where we were leaving school. Just before we left school, I was obviously able to play in the academy. So the under-16s team, I think they only played like 3 games, but I never played them games. John Bastian picked me straight up from. I think we just got out of England schools under-16s, and the academy season started in April. And he said, "Look, you're not going to be playing under-16s. We're going to put you in the under-18s." So I'm thinking, wow, this is mad. Like, obviously, I'm still at school. At this time. This is obviously my final year at high school, and then playing for Leeds Academy under-18s during that year, which was a really good year for us.
It sounds like it just happened dead quick as well, Carl. Really.
Yeah, everything happened real quick. In this, look, when I got signed up at Leeds for the first time, I'm trying to think, it might have been 2006. And within 2 years, I was playing first team. Within 2 years, it was surreal. Honestly, played that first year of academy and under-18s, and the team was great. The team was really, really good. I had Paul McShane in the team. He led really well. He had a good number of players that played in the championship throughout their careers and had really good careers in that sense. Chris Clarkson as well. He played quite a bit in the first team at Leeds, and then obviously ended up at York. Just plays like that. We played in the academy and that together, and we ended up winning the grand final that year. We're playing against, I think we beat the Saints. We beat them in the first round of the playoffs to get to the grand final, and then we beat them in the grand final. And I'm there like 16 at the time. I'm just like enjoying life,
mate.
winning all the time, and just felt great. And then from there on, it was just incredible ride, really.
Yeah. Right. So just a couple of things. Rewind a little bit, mate. So we chat England 16s.
Yeah,
schoolboys. I think it was schoolboys. Carl won it.
yeah,
So how was that, mate? And who did you play in? How did you feel there?
yeah. Actually, it was kind of difficult to be fair because I obviously got picked for that, which was amazing.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the camps and everything, but I ended up playing. I played the first game. We played against France. We ended up playing France in two. I think we only played 2 games against them. France under 16s, and then we played. No, I think it was just them two. So we played one game at Salford's ground, the Old Willows, and then we played one at OKR. Um, I ended up playing in the first game, but I was on the bench at first, and then I got put on for the last 5 minutes. Um, which at the time I was thinking, look, I'm playing for England. It's like this is a
yeah.
great achievement. It's amazing, but I ended up playing 5 minutes, which I was pretty disappointed with. And then the
Yeah.
week after, I didn't get picked. They didn't pick me, so
Right.
I was
How'd you
pretty.
take that?
Oh, I was upset. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was upset with it. My dad was annoyed as well, of course. But yeah, we to be fair, I didn't really take that well, but it helped me out. I think it was a motivation, and I think I actually from when I went back to Leeds then to train with the academy. I remember John Baskin, obviously was coach there at the time, and obviously he helped pick me up and he motivated me really. He said, "Look, you didn't get picked, but you're here now. Why, you've got an opportunity to do something real special with your career. You could be something like I believe in you." So that kind of gave me a boost straight away,
Yeah.
and I had a really good year that year, that first year, which was really it was really a trial
Yeah.
year for me. It was really a trial for me to
Yeah. It's an
to
early
show
life lesson, mate, wasn't it?
yeah, just to give an impression of
Yeah.
how I could play in that environment, play with all the players. But then I felt
And respond.
that
Yeah.
helped.
And
It helped
respond.
when I was younger, but it helped when I was younger because I was playing against all the players, so
Yeah.
I knew what it took to play against players that were a little bit older than me, um,
Yeah.
which I think helped massively because I was confident. I wasn't intimidated by them, so I could
Yeah.
believe in what I could do, and albeit had great coaching, great
Yeah.
players alongside you as well. They brought the best out in you, and they wanted to win. And
Yeah.
that was a big culture that they had at that time because they just started a, a road of success during that in the first team. So it
Mm.
gathered all the way down to the academy teams, and um, that was what was expected. You were expected to win. You were expected to perform well, even in the academy stages. So
Yeah.
that brought the best out of me, really.
I was gonna well, you've answered it, but I was gonna say, were you ever like sat there overwhelmed? But like you said, you've been playing above yourself really till you're about 13, 14 anyway, hadn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't bat an eyelid, to be honest. I just felt, look, I've been given an opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to just make the most of it. And whatever happens,
Yeah.
happens. Give it
Yeah.
my
No,
best
I
shot.
like
And
that, mate.
I give it my best shot and
Yeah.
deliver the results, really.
Yeah. And like obviously you mentioned then, and we were laughing about it, but like winning all the time, living the dream. Did you ever take it for granted, mate, in like your later teens? Because of that
Yeah,
I can't imagine you could ever have like thought of how well you'd do in that next few years, part of that generational team.
yeah. So a lot of the time I did take it, a bit too far in that sense, and felt like at times was probably a little bit arrogant in that time, and felt, you know, we're here at Leeds, we're just going to turn up and win
Touchable.
sometimes, and you get,
Yeah.
you get bitten on the ass a little bit at times, especially at Leeds as well, because they all held you accountable, which was good.
Yeah.
I think the big thing was look, they win one and think, right, how are we going to get how are we going to get the next one next year? How are we going to do this? Not think, oh, we've won one and then that's it. That's everything. You made it. Like they
Yeah.
were constant about next one, the next one, the next one. And at a young age, you're not even wary of all them things. You're just oblivious to everything. For me, during that time. I ended up getting into the first team. I think I played a few games in the reserves and played really well, and then got put in the first team for full time. And I was still 16 at the time, so
It's
I was
mad,
like,
isn't it?
wow, this is mad. This is
Yeah,
crazy. Like I'm training with these guys, and I've been watching them on TV for years. These
yeah,
guys, and I was just in awe of everybody. But when I did go and train full time with the first team, that helps. I think it helps me with that. I felt I can go into games and be really confident and know that I can perform well,
yeah,
especially in the reserve games and stuff. But sometimes I got a bit carried away at times, and I remember because
yeah.
we played. I think we played in the reserves. We ended up in the playoffs. But every time I played for the reserves that year, I scored a try. So I scored quite a number of tries playing in reserves because I think that first year, first team, I think I played 5 games. Um, I think 3 of them were off the bench, and then I think 2 were starting. One was at Magic Weekend, which was at Millennium Stadium, and then another one was at a Challenge Cup game. I think that was against London. So they were the 2
Right.
games that I started, but the rest were I was on the bench. Um, and then during that time, I was playing reserves. So every week, I'm thinking playing in reserves, I'm scoring, and we're winning. And things got carried away, and then we played. I think we played Huddersfield. We played Huddersfield in the playoffs, and if we lose the game, then we were eliminated. We ended up losing, and I didn't score a try or um, didn't have enough impact in the game that I felt. But
Yeah.
um, then you realise, it's a team game at the end of the day, and that helped as well because you learn from them things and felt I'm not going to act in that way anymore. I'm just going to be as professional as I can, and I think being in that first team then, learning from them through that first year, I just felt like you know these expectations are high, but I've got players there that can rub shoulders with and learn from. And ultimately, at that time, I hardly said a word to anybody. Like you felt as a young kid there, you're just in awe of all these players. But if you don't ask, or if you're not curious in if you're wanting to improve your game, you're not. I just don't feel like you can get anywhere. You don't feel like you're going to get
Yeah.
the respect of the players. And the big thing for me after that first year was right. I'm going to get the respect of all these players. I'm going to get the respect of all these top quality players, internationals that have played at the highest level. I'm gonna get their respect by playing well and training hard and showing that I do deserve to be there.
Well, that's it, mate, innit? And really, that's a lesson you'd rather learn at 17, 18 than 27, 28, isn't it?
Yeah, that's you learn from players, from top players, and learn their traits and what they do. Being in the full time environment as well, you train hard. It's tough. It is tough, and you've got to go out there and perform then week in week out, and then especially at Leeds as well, as a club that you're expected to win every single week.
I was gonna say,
And and if you don't win, it's chaos. The crowd are on top of you. The fans are not happy. You're expected to win, and it still goes on to this day. It still goes on to this day at Leeds. So during that time, it was massive. So learned quite a lot pretty quickly back then.
yeah, I was gonna say, and like you said, you have done that like really young, mate. So
Yeah.
when you are in the first team, like week in week out or more regular, mate, how old are you at that point?
I'm trying to think. 08, 09. So I played 09. I played a good number of games. I played about 15 games in 09. So
Yeah,
and then
that's
2010.
a healthy number, that Cal, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I was 18. I think I just turned 18.
it's mad that, mate, because
So
you're
18.
playing at the elite level of club rugby, aren't you? In the club country slash world, the games we'll talk about that you're going to play in.
Yeah.
You're like,
So I'm like
and
17, 18, like 17,
young,
18 at the time.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
What's it like
yeah.
going to your seat, mate, and you see like Watkins on the back of the top and that? How's that?
At first, it was kind of surreal, and
Yeah.
but then at that time, I was looking at the other shirts as well. I was looking at who I'm playing with. Like it's mad. Like
Yeah,
I'm playing with these players. I'm thinking, wow, it's this is the dream. Like this is
yeah,
amazing being able to do that with these guys, and yeah, oh, it's always an honor. It's always an honor to put a shirt on there where it's got your name on the back and you're representing a
yeah,
team, you're representing a lot of people there. So, and obviously you're representing the sport that you love playing. You
yeah,
always look back and think it's always surreal. It's always a dream that I've been able to do this. I'm always grateful for that, for them opportunities.
yeah. And what's it like when you first see like a young kid with your name on and they want your
Yeah, it's
autograph
mad.
and that was you practicing in school and that, mate?
Yeah, yeah, we got. I think my dad got me to do quite a bit of that to try and practice and stuff like that. I was thinking, what's going on
Class.
here? Like, we've got to start practicing it now. I was thinking, yeah, I best do so.
Yeah,
So I think, I think during that time, I think my mum got me like obviously my passport. We renewed my passport, so then you had to sign it. So then I signed it,
yeah.
and I think that right, that's the one that I'm just going to
It's
use
all
that
right,
one.
that.
Yeah, so I just used that and
Yeah.
then just practiced it and stuff, and then I've just used that ever
Yeah.
since.
Class,
Yeah,
mate.
it's
So,
class.
how have you been with injuries up until this point, mate?
Been good to be fair during that time. I think one of the injuries I had a really bad dead leg in '08. Um, and I found out a couple of years later because we ended up doing these Dexter scans. So this it scans all your body, but it's like X-ray as well. So it can tell you if you
Okay.
broke a bone and stuff like that. So I ended up breaking a little bone on top of my leg during that time, and that was from the blow from the dead leg. So I was out for a month. It was that bad. Yeah, I think it was one of the academy games I played in. So I was out for about a month. So obviously that missed opportunities if I could get a chance to play in the first team if anyone got injured or anything. Like I missed out probably a month or so through that. So yeah,
Not being rude as well, people were probably thinking, "Oh, you're still out with a dead leg, weren't they?"
yeah,
And you were
yeah.
probably thinking that as well, actually. But
I was thinking that as well, but I remember I
yeah,
think it was that bad because my leg was that swollen, and at that time, obviously, I'd only just got into the first team, so I was only a few months into the first team, and I'd never had any kind of like physiotherapy or treatment or anything like that.
yeah,
So I got introduced to that and massage and stuff like that, and then I had to handle like pain tolerance and stuff like that, and um, getting a sports massage is different. Like it hurts, it's painful
you know about it.
sometimes.
Yeah,
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 it's painful. So I had to get used to that. Learning about rehab, doing exercises before we do weights, or doing exercises before we'll go outside. Just that's part of the full time environment. Learning that as well.
yeah.
I had to do that. I was out for about a month, and then yeah, came back. I was thinking, I was thinking, other people are thinking I'm soft here, like not good training stuff. Like,
Got about earning respect
yeah,
and you're
it's
out with a
mad.
dead leg. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
know it's
Well,
mad,
it
isn't
weren't a
it?
dead leg, but yeah.
Yeah,
So obviously you were quite diligent anyway, Cal, and with the degree you were doing, mate, was I suppose in the back of your mind you'd half know like feeling whether it's a niggle or serious, don't you? Because you're learning about it anyway. So
yeah,
like some of the injuries you've had, like the knee injury was probably your first big injury, wasn't it? And
yeah,
did you know it was bad instantly?
yeah. I knew it was bad instantly, but I didn't, I wasn't sure what it is. Obviously, my knee was just swollen straight away, so I was thinking,
Yeah,
oh, something's wrong. But I remember going back home.
yeah,
I remember going back home with it. Obviously, I couldn't even get my leg straight. It was that the swelling was
right.
that. Um, so I had it obviously all compressed and stuff. And I got home and I remember my mum and her good friend. She had knee problems, and I remember her looking at it, and I was thinking, and she was like, "Oh, it's serious. If it's ballooned up like this, it's serious." So we went for a scan
That's
and
the
stuff,
last
and
thing you wanted to hear at that point,
yeah,
innit?
it's the last thing I wanted
Yeah,
to hear. But she was
yeah,
honest. She was like, "It doesn't
yeah,
look good." And I said it didn't feel great anyway. When it happened, I just felt something felt like it went from my knee. So went for a scan. Was there for a couple of hours because I saw the specialist straight away after it. So I did a scan and then saw the specialist. So I was there for a couple of hours. And then he said, I think it was early on. I think it was like February, March time. I did it, and he said, look, you've done your ACL and you need surgery and stuff. So at the time, I was thinking, what's this? What's ACL? What's this? So basically, I had a chat with him basically, and he was explaining how things have happened like that. Other players in the past, rugby players, even footballers. So this surgeon did a lot of footballers back in the day. But they said it was just being introduced because a long time ago, if you had that injury, your career was over.
You were finished.
You were finished. Yeah, you were finished. So these surgeons have come in and obviously had a new technology to all of it. And they said that they've helped, ex-United players, ex-Liverpool players and stuff like that back then. And then said that we need to go and do surgery. And I think at the time I was 18, just turned 19, I think. And then, just had surgery from there. Which was new for me because I'd never had surgery before or anything like that. So it was really, really new.
Just knocked me out.
Just knocked me out. Yeah, I was thinking it's crazy. And you wake up all groggy and head up on morphine and it's mad. Yeah. It was quite an experience, definitely. And I thought, well, can use this as a challenge now to try and get back in the best shape possible. Because I knew at the time, I'm thinking, that's a big injury, that. So a lot of people don't come back the same from it. So I'm thinking, I'm going to try and get back and be better. I felt I did that. I felt I worked really hard in terms of that and got to a point where it was back in good shape. Got back for the pre-season and stuff like that, which I think was good timing for me. Really good timing. Didn't have to play anymore. Didn't have to play any games. Just had to train really hard through the
no
year.
Pressure.
Have a break. Didn't have a break and then get back to pre-season training, which was massive because I had to do the full sessions and stuff. So that helped.
And how's the journey on an injury like that? Because we all think, as fans, that it's hunky dory. I know players are a bit more honest now in multiple sports, including both quarter rugby, and they say it's tricky. There's lonely mornings. There's if your team are on a good run, Cal, and no one picks a knock up, you're on your own for a long time, aren't you, mate? Doing them, like they look like soft, daft exercises, but it's all about maturing it back to being at its best, isn't it, mate? And getting the movements back. It's discipline, basically.
It is. It literally, especially with ACL, it's like you've got to build your leg up again. You're basically building one leg up again. That takes a long time because you've got to let everything heal as well. So you think when you come out of surgery, your knee's like a balloon. It's swelled up. Their big thing is make sure you get it straight. Make sure you get it straight as possible. Get the swelling down, and so you just make little goals here and there. I think with my last one, what I did with my last one is I just made every little small goal, just tick a box, get the swelling down, tick that box, straight, make sure it's straight as much as possible, extension and stuff like that's back. So when all that's done, then you can start building the muscles around it. So build your calves back up and your quads. So a lot of the injuries or the ACL, ruptures, especially in sport, is all coming down from your quads. So if your quads are not strong, and they weaken, that makes your knee susceptible
vulnerable.
to very vulnerable. So I learned that through all the ACL injuries I've had. It's about building that all back up. And the exercises, look, they're all it's tedious. It is tedious. But
it's the word I was after, mate. Yeah, but it's beneficial, isn't it?
It's beneficial. Yeah. It works, and it takes a long time, and I think, especially the older I got, obviously the longer it was always going to take to get back playing. And the first one got back pretty quickly. I got back after 6 months, but I felt like I did everything properly. I felt like I did everything properly, and that, it was a long time. But during that time, I was thinking, look, I'm going to get back. I was confident I can get back, and
Be
be ready
better.
for this. Yeah, be ready and be better. Because I felt like I'm young. I'm at this great club. They're helping me all the way through it. And what more do you want from it? Like, what do you want out of it? So I said, I'm not going to let it get me down. So I learned in that way that, look, it's long, it's lonely, it's tedious, but when you get back playing, you get that feeling, that sense that you're back on, and you're doing what you love. You're back on the field, you're competing. It's worth it. It's definitely worth the wait. It's worth the time that you work, because all that hard work, it does pay off.
Was into lifting that silverware, mate, which we'll touch on now, innit? But before we do, when as a young lad, mate, and that happens, when does the trust in the body come back? Is there a certain stage where you've just got to bite the bullet and do something you've not been doing quite yet? Because I imagine it's a scary time, that pal, innit? Is that the most likely time you'll break back down, is it?
Yeah, I think talk about the percentages and stuff. Obviously, if you come back earlier than expected, there's a higher expectation that you could re-rupture it again. But when I was younger, I was probably a little bit more fearless and a bit oblivious to everything. So I was like, I can get back at this short space of time, and I'll be confident to do it. But then you're a little bit more wary the older you get, because it takes longer to recover. You've got to be wary of that. You've got to get that confidence back as well. Obviously, you worried about if you've got the speed, if you've got that back, if you've got the same amount of speed, or you've got the same amount of power, if you're pushing off it. Just little things like that. I think with the confidence side of it, you've just got to just think, look, take one session at a time, one tackle at a time, one carry at a time. Just keep it short, keep it a small goal, and then the confidence then builds up from that. And then the more you train, the more you get more confident. And I think the big thing as well is always to continue to look after yourself in that sense, because you think you can get back from an injury and then think, oh, you can just brush aside the rehab and stuff like that. You've got to keep on top of the rehab and keep on top of the exercises that they give you, that the physios give you, because they don't just give you for nothing. They're there to keep you maintained, basically, so you don't get them injuries. Because it's their jobs to help you with them injuries, but they don't want you getting them injuries again. Just, I think for me, the small goals. I think small goals will help you gain that confidence to get back, and then as soon as you're back, you'll just know in your mind. I knew in my mind that I was back. I knew in my mind when I was in pre-season, getting stuck in, working hard, doing the contact sessions, doing the weight sessions, just being involved in the group again. That gives you confidence as well, because when you're doing the rehab, you are on your own a lot of the time. You're on them the gym sessions a lot of the time, and you might get an odd few that get injured with it, or you might get one that's had a long injury as well. So you might have, two players, but you might be doing something different. You know what I mean? If it's a different type of injury. So
enter the gym and that.
Yeah. So you're still going to be on your own.
Yeah. Right, mate. So it's basically for any youngsters, mate, just loads of attainable objectives, small gains. Patience,
small gains
and self-discipline.
Small goals, be disciplined in what you do, but when you come back from your injury, just keep on top of it, because issues might occur with it, if you neglect it. So if you neglect it, the more likely there's going to be issues coming up further down the line. So if you keep on top of it, you look after your body, it keeps away from that. Look, injuries happen. Injuries are going to happen in your career. It's part and parcel of sport. It's part and parcel of rugby league. You're going to get an injury. It's how you deal with it. It's how you set your mind to it. Which, look, you get injuries I've had injuries a lot throughout my career. And sometimes I've dealt with it well, sometimes I've not. Like you learn from it, and for me, the best way that I've got back from injuries is setting small goals and being disciplined in what you've been given, and then obviously with yourself when you're away from the training ground and you're away from the environment when you're at home and stuff, making sure that you're looking after yourself in that sense. You still got to be professional as possible, aren't you? But even if you're not involved in playing, you still got to be professional. You're still a full-time
Leeds in your case, you're representing Leeds, and someone else is representing whoever the bats they've gone on and that, mate, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So how was the 2010 World Cup Challenge, mate? Was that a bit of a surreal moment and a pinch me moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had quite a couple of injuries through the pre-season. I ended up on the bench. I kind of trying to think. One of the players were injured, or one of the wingers were injured anyway. So, actually, I'm trying to think. It was one of the centres. Actually, I think at the time it was. Trying to think what player it was. I'm not sure, but I ended up being on the bench anyway. It was pretty last minute, to be fair, because I think it might have been Lee Smith. I think Lee Smith was supposed to play centre or something like that, and then he had an injury, and I got put on the bench basically. So I was thinking, look, this is a World Cup challenge. You play against Manly. I'm like 17, and I'm thinking, I ain't getting on here. There's no chance. There's no chance I'm going to get on here. And then we had a couple of knocks. I remember Rob Burrow. He just got knocked out in the first half. I remember it, and they had to move a couple of players round, and then I ended up coming on just before half time, which was surreal because I'm playing against these players from Australia, and that's kind of the first experience of playing at the highest level, like playing the top teams, like the top Australian team, and we're the top English team. It was a kind of a surreal moment. But yeah, obviously I enjoyed the experience, but obviously we didn't get the result. So, like you say, at Leeds, you expect to win, even in them games where you feel, if you're looking back at it, the Aussie teams are usually the favourites. So, we got beat quite well, especially in that second half. I think they went on to score 4 tries in a space of 10 minutes, and I think that just killed the game off then. So, from what I can remember, it was a great moment at the same time, but an amazing feeling to play in them games at such a young age.
Yeah, especially because, mate, I know we'll touch on the movie you made a bit later on, but it weren't on 3 times a week when we were younger, mate. You got one game if you were lucky, and it was really, Brisbane were like the glamour team when we were growing up, weren't they?
Yeah. I remember because I remembered a lot of the time I didn't really watch the NRL. I watched more the State of Origin. The State of Origin, we always played the State of Origin, so we always used to watch that from like the early 2000s onwards. So we used to watch that quite a bit. And then I think a lot of the time if I watched any one of the games of the NRL, it would be in the playoffs because they play one of the games on Sky. So we used to watch that here and there. And then, but I remember it was just the State of Origin probably, was obviously a massive thing. It's a massive game over there, obviously over here as well, because everyone talks about it. So it's amazing how that's grown as well. That game, it's
a little life of its own, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and that's amazing. I think it's made it all global. I think everyone's kind of interested in them 3 games when it comes to that time. Everyone's just focused on that. Like even like when
Yeah.
we were at training, even like last year when we were at training, we made sure we trained pretty early, so then we could watch it. So we could then go watch it like all together. So
Yeah.
that's how that's how a lot of people show a lot of interest in them games. It's gotten massive. That
Yeah,
stadium.
it has. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think the way it's refereed allows that as well, mate. Done it a bit of the old school is sort of allowed, isn't it, Callum? It's
yeah.
not refereed as stringent as it would be on a club game, is it?
No, it's not. I think
Yeah.
it's even how the players back then explain it. I think they explain it as it's a different sport. It seems like a different sport to what we're playing. So yeah, it's played different. It's refereed different. It's just
Yeah.
it's got its own entity. It's its own entity.
It has. Yeah,
Yeah,
it has. So when you come back from that big injury, mate, you found the whitewash quite easy to come by, didn't you? And you were scoring tries for fun and that. Does does that make everything worthwhile, mate, and make it a bit more sweeter when you're flying after an injury like that?
yeah. I think one of the first things is that the club gave me confidence with that as well. The club made sure that I was in a good position in terms of physical and mental as well, making sure that I was in a good place. I think the Leeds club have made it a great effort with that, especially with me being a young kid as well.
Yeah,
Could have gone the other way, you know what I mean? Like it couldn't have gone well, but it did, and I felt like I was
yeah,
really grateful and lucky that I was part of that team because it always brought the best out in you because you're expected to win. We had that expectation. So when I did come back and got back playing, it I was confident because I had a good bunch of players around me,
yeah.
that will put me in them positions, and then it's up to myself to then take advantage of that, and we did, and
I
it
was going to
was
say you're all right as well, Cal.
do all right, yeah, do
Yeah,
all right,
yeah,
yeah,
you're good
but
as
I'm
well. Like
still,
it's not
but
just everyone
yeah,
else, but I know what
but
you're saying.
yeah, but during that time, I think I'm still in awe of these players. You know what I mean? Like I'm still
Yeah,
thinking, look, I ain't fully got the respect of all these players yet, so I'm still at the same time thinking like I need to earn their respect. I felt during that time that's when I did. I think during that time I felt after the injury and stuff, being able to deal with adversity, being able to deal with injuries, being able to come back and feel like I can play better, and I did, and I felt
contribute
really
as
happy with
well.
that.
Yeah,
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 which pushed me on then to great things.
yeah. Which was Challenge Cup final, mate, at Wembley. That teacher said it all that time ago, didn't they? And
Yeah,
so how's the week building up? Because I know, mate, you've got to. I say it to most people, so viewers and listeners might be fed up with the quote we'll use, but you've got to be cliched to the press, haven't you? Oh, we know we're not just there to take part. We've done all this, but the week's different, Cal, innit?
yeah,
It
it
is a
is.
different build up, mate, innit?
It
How was
is.
the week for you?
Yeah, amazing, amazing. It's. I've been very lucky. I've been very fortunate to be part of them weeks for a number of times, and it's special because as a young kid, I wanted to play at Wembley. Like I wanted to play in a Challenge Cup final at Wembley, and I think that was every kid's dream around that time, and it still is a dream right now for players, young players that are looking up now that they want to play at Wembley and they want to play in them Challenge Cup finals and being able to lift the trophy and stuff. So the week building up to it is always exciting. It's always different. I just think the whole competition and being able to get there and how you got there, it's another journey, part of
Yeah.
a journey that you're going through the season. It's another added journey to the year, and we made it so important that year because in previous years, I think, well, a lot of the more experienced guys, the Kevin Sinfields, the James Peacocks, they played. I think Kevin played in 6 Challenge Cup finals before then and lost all of them.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
so it was like a monkey on the back. Like they couldn't
Yeah.
shake it off, you know. And it came to that year where we played in 2014, we played against Cass, and we got to a point where we felt like this. We've got to do whatever it takes to win. So, however we played, we had a plan. We had a plan, and we said, right, this is going to work. We're going to stick to this.
Yeah.
It's going to work. So we played real simple. We did. We played simple. I think that year, our attacking style wasn't that great that year, but our defence helped us get to certain points. And ultimately, we played that cup final, and then we lost all the games all the way through after that Challenge Cup win, because the emotion through the week and obviously getting there, but the emotion of it all, it does drain you. It does drain you as a team. And I think because we've won it, and then other times we've lost, and other times it's been painful, and we don't want to be in their positions anymore. We finally then won it, then everything's just kind of drained out of you. The emotion, the winning there at Wembley, even playing there, even like being a part of that, being able to play at Wembley. You play in the game, it just emotionally, it just drains you. It really does. And yeah, we won that. It was an amazing feeling. Being able to lift that trophy up there in the stands while the crowd were cheering. That's something that as a kid you wanted to do, and I managed to do it.
Did your dad do a John Terry or not?
No, he did do it. He did do a John Terry.
Gutted.
No.
I wish he did.
My dad's really chilled. So he'd have had his shirt on, definitely. He'd had his shirt on and his cap on.
Yeah.
And he'd have loved that memory. So he'd have been thinking about them for times as well. Being able to see his kids do something like that they dreamed of. Dream come true. But it'd be him for him as well. It would have been a dream come true for him as well to be part of that.
Do you realise that at the time, Cal? Do you know when not like when you're lifting it, but when you're on the pitch, and because it must be dead overwhelming afterwards when, like you said, everything's built up to that moment and it's achieved. The only way really is that, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you must look round and think 50,000 people have come to watch.
Yeah.
Spectacle I'm a part of.
Oh, it is amazing. But like you say, the emotion, it's just it's a different feeling to everything else. Even when I think it's different with the grand final, because when we won the grand final, and it's an amazing achievement. It's a different kind of feeling, because you're not playing the week after. You're not. Then the season's done. The journey's done. Whereas you're playing in the Challenge Cup, you still got another thing to go for. You still got other things to go for. So the whole emotion, I think, with obviously the team not winning it for a long time and then ended up winning it, it was always, I think it was always going to head down in that sense. But it didn't help.
You're a target the week after as well, aren't you, Cal? Whoever you're going to or whoever's coming your gaff, you're a target, aren't you?
I think I'm trying to think what game it was that we played after. I think it might have been a home game. I think we played I'm trying to think what team. It might have been Castleford or something like that, and they beat us. And we just went onto a roll there. We went to Hull. I think we went to Hull on a Friday night. We got beat there when we were winning as well. We were winning quite well, and they came back and won. And then we went to the play. I think we went into the playoffs. We were in an elimination game. I think we finished below the top four, and then we played Catalan at home, and we lost that at the last minute, and then we were out. That were it. The season was done. So
a blink of an eye, probably.
Yeah. It was it does take it out. Yeah, I think the Challenge Cup, albeit it's an amazing week, but emotionally, it can drain you. It can change your season, definitely.
Yeah, no, it can, mate. It's quite a regular occurrence, that, isn't it, mate? That the winners tend to hit a dull and struggle to come back from that, don't they, mate? They might make the playoff, but it's a tough slog, then, isn't it?
You can see that with Lee as well. Now, I think Lee, they obviously they won it this year, and no one expected that to happen. And during the time, I think how they won it as well. Obviously in Golden Point, just the whole emotion of it winning in that way. I think it was always going to be difficult then for them to then progress on. Albeit they did all right. They did as best as they could, but ultimately, it does take its toll.
Yeah. So, mate, you got the 3 jersey then, which to everyone who looks from outside, it's a guaranteed starting position in it, mate. So there's a lot of faith in you. And then on the back of that, you get a 5-year deal, which must be like highly satisfying as an individual to know how
Yeah,
well you're thought of.
yeah. I think especially with we're getting the number 3 number was huge. Especially during the times after the injuries and stuff. I think they showed a lot of faith in me. Like I said before, they helped me out massively, and I feel like I had to repay them, and in that sense, in how I played and help the team try and be successful as well. So yeah, it was a great honour, and then obviously sign a long-term deal, which was something that I was never going to turn down or anything like that. It was Leeds was just at that time a special club to me, and then I was happy. So security there for myself, and then obviously at that time I started a young family. So yeah, it kind of helped in that sense with that, and yeah, I was happy. So yeah, we
£100 million helps as well, doesn't
Oh, we'll be all right, won't it?
it?
That'd have been all right. Would have been
So,
nice.
and how difficult is it when your life outside of rugby starts taking shape as well, i.e. a young family and that, mate? Is it difficult to separate the two, or did the family bring you back to reality a little bit, put things
Yeah,
into perspective?
yeah, definitely. I think especially at a young age, we had our oldest at 22. So at the time we had to do a lot of growing up, from
Yeah,
that sense, especially off the field stuff, having that responsibility of having a young boy. Yeah, it was something that I learned pretty quickly off. But like I said, I had a good childhood, great parents who taught me a lot. So during the time, I always got the help and the advice that I needed. I could always turn to them as well. They made it really comfortable for me and the family as well. So got a lot of advice from my mum, bits and advice here and there from my dad, and just learned a lot from that. And just trying to mix it in as best as possible. Just learn on the go really from that, and then obviously then combine that with playing rugby as well. Then working from that. I think during the time I'm just thinking, I'm growing up here. This is about being an adult and living life as best as you possibly can with the circumstances. So
yeah,
took a big responsibility and then made sure that that my family was looked after in that sense.
yeah. I think you were very mature from a young age anyway, Cal, to be honest, weren't you, mate? It's just there's another life to care for and love and look after now, isn't there, as well as yours and your partner's own. So,
Yeah,
I've not, yeah,
yeah. I think especially being part of an environment, especially a full time environment at a young age as well. I think you learn a lot quicker. You learn a lot quicker about things, and obviously having that responsibility, you learn pretty much off the bat. So you it, it it didn't take me that long to realize that you know I've got to have that responsibility. I've got to make sure that my oldest is the number one priority, making sure that he's looked after and making sure that then myself is in a good place, because if I'm not in a good place, then that's not going to help. And yeah, there has been times where there've been ups and downs, but I feel like that's always part of life, and how you deal with that is from what you learn from and what your experiences have come from, and how you can deal with that is through experiences and learning that you got responsibility here. You got to make sure that you're doing the right things and making sure that you're putting yourself in a good position mentally, which makes it better for everybody else around you.
Yeah. So it's when you go back to back, mate, winning trophies and stuff. So we spoke about the Challenge Cup there. As a United fan, then what's a grand final week like, and what's walking out to them fireworks like at a ground that you've adored since you were a young lad?
Yeah, it was. No, that was immense. It was incredible. I think again the week's kind of. I think it's a little bit different to the Challenge Cup, but being able to go out there, even though it's just tour the ground and stuff like that, like the day before the grand final, you go out and you look at the pitch and you just look at the ground and realize like tomorrow night it's going to be full, it's going to be loud, it's going to be an incredible night. So for me, I just kind of took it in my stride. I was really proud. Obviously, the family was as well. So having everybody there as well, which was amazing. Yeah, it was just such a surreal moment. I just thought, as a young kid again, looking at sitting in the stands and watching them grand finals back then. At the time, I'm thinking I want to be in them positions again, being able to do that at Old Trafford and managed to do that, which was incredible.
Unbelievable, mate. And so when you're going through seasons, is it not until like you reflect you can pick a defining moment where you have felt unplayable at times?
I think when we went into the 2015 season, I felt after winning that Challenge Cup for the first time, we felt that we could do something real special the year after. Yeah, it didn't end well in that sense with the Super League side of it, but we knew we could get to that Challenge Cup final and win it. So I think that gave us confidence and the push as well. But then, albeit as well, we had a few special players that were 2015. They were finishing up. We had Damien Peacock, we had Kevin Sinfield, we had Kylie Lillywhite, and during that year, we knew that they were gonna finish up. So,
is that the documentary year, Callum? The As Good as It Gets, right?
Yeah. So that was the year that it happened, and obviously watched it. It's quite an interesting story, especially with the players that were leaving and the players that. For instance, like Kevin Sinfield, obviously at the start he played a few games, and then the coach just dropped him out of the team. Didn't think he was going to play again. Did end up getting his chance back again, and just showing what a great player, what a great leader he was for the team. He showed the best example out of anybody. How to be a rugby league player and how to conduct himself in the right manner. And he did that, and he showed that in true colours the whole time that I was there, the whole time that I went into that first team. So, yeah, that was a special year because we felt at the time, the year before, like I said, our attack wasn't quite up to par, which probably cost us there in the end. But our defence was good. Our defence was really good. We come out with a system that worked best for us. We tried to obviously just kept the same kind of thing and put that into that year, but wanted to improve our attack a little bit more. So we played quite expansive in that sense. Not in terms of like structured shapes. Like we had our structure and stuff of shapes, but we kind of worked a lot off the offload. So when we offload, it was kind of chaos from there. I think Leeds try and play a little bit like that now, like they've done over the past couple of years. But our defense was always aggressive. We were kind of aggressive in that sense, especially through the middle, because we felt a lot of the times during that time it was the battle. It was the battle through the middle. Who could get on top really could then push on, and if we got on top with the ball, an offload through that, we could cause teams
damage
a lot of problems. And if we felt like we were dominant for majority of that year. And it
structure's good, Carl, but you've got to play off the cuff sometimes and play what you see, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, and I think we especially here at Salford as well, we back ourselves. We can throw it from yardage. We can throw it from our own half, and throw it around, but it's about execution. And I think the more you practice that, the more you're going to put that into games, the more confident you're going to be. And you got to execute your plays. And on top of that, during that time in 2015, we get the offloads away. We play expansive, but we got to execute as well. So even our structured plays might not been all fancy from there, but we did execute our plays really well. And when at the time when we needed them plays, whether it was structure or whether it was offloads, at that year it worked really well for us because we executed really well, and that helped in the big games as well, especially in that the grand final that we played against Wigan. When we did score our points, it was kind of executed really well. The final try was making sure that we just turned up, making sure from the kick we were always moving. So, like young Josh Walters ended up scoring like nobody expected that to happen. But it showed how we played and how we trained, that anyone could get in them positions. We made sure that we did that. So that's when you felt like anything could happen. Like being on the field, we could be like you say, untouchable in that sense. But that year was very, very dominant, very dominant that year. So, and it showed in the trophies we ended up winning. Albeit it wasn't easy. Albeit it wasn't. It was never easy. Like you say, you go through them times where we won the Challenge Cup final. We won it fairly easy in the end against Hull KR, but it's still that week and still that emotion that drained you. So we went through a period for 2-3 weeks where we didn't win a game, and then we had to win a game at Huddersfield to win the league leaders.
The Ryan Hall try.
The Ryan Hall try. Yeah. So did that. That was amazing. And even in that game, we were pretty lucky to even win that game, because the second half, Huddersfield were all on top of us. But we just managed to find a way. We found a way. I think the experienced players were key to that.
Through.
Yeah.
And when we talk about emotion, mate, it's probably what was OKR's undoing when you've not been there for a long time. And then history gets through in your face, because it does that week, Cal, done it. You see all like the old teams doing it, and it must be like overwhelming for your first time, especially if it's everybody's first time.
Yeah, especially if it's everybody's first time. I think I don't know whether they had maybe one player that played previous. I think it was Tyrone McCarthy. I think he was the only player that played in a Challenge Cup final. So it'd have been exciting. Yeah, it would have been exciting and stuff. But I don't think they would have realised the magnitude of how much it drains you, how much it takes out of you, even during the week, even before you even start playing. Knowing that you're going to be playing there, yes, it's exciting at the time, but then when you're playing, you got to be able to then be solely focused on making sure that you perform well. And I think we just had the experience, we had the confidence, and we were just too good there in the day.
Yeah, it's a key attribute, being able to separate the occasion to the game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's massive. And that comes with experience. So if you're lucky to get there,
it does.
You're lucky to get there. You should, as a team, feel more confident than the other team that have not been there before.
And then captaincy comes along, mate. And what did that mean to you? And is that something you'd ever thought about before?
No, never thought about ever being a captain. I think a lot of the time during years ago, I think that my personality is I'm pretty laid back. A lot of the time I lead in my actions. And I think I've grown as a player. I've grown as a leader now. And I feel like I do better with it. Definitely. Because at the time it was a lot of pressure, because you're thinking about them, the captains previous, and what they did and what they achieved. And then you're now trying to be held in that regard. And I feel like, I felt like I obviously had the experience to do it, but at the same time, how am I going to match that? You know what I mean? I'm thinking, how am I going to match that? but then thinking as well, like the players that you've got in, you've got a couple of experienced players, you've got a lot of help through that, but then you've got a whole bunch of young players as well, which if I'd have played any first team, well, we've had 5-6 players that have been together for nearly 15 years, playing together, and now they're gone. Now you've got to then try and lead as best as you can through that situation. And I think at the start I did really well. I felt at the start I focused a lot on making sure that I was doing really well with what I was doing on the field, off the field, and actions. I was trying to show players actions rather than speak and just say things for the sake of it. And played really well. I think I just got back off the World Cup, 2017 World Cup. Played really well in that year, in that tournament. Being given the captaincy, didn't expect it. Didn't expect it one bit. But which helped the year previous, because we didn't play well the year previous. We ended up in the middle eights. And Brian Mack, the coach at the time, he helped me trying to develop a leadership kind of role in that sense. He tried to get me to talk to the team a little bit more, and he knew by my actions what I could do. But at the same time, he just introduced me and said, "You've got a voice. You can have a voice in that group. Definitely, you can make an impact with little things that you could say." And that progressed really well through the end of that year, and ended up doing okay there in the end. And then the year after getting the captaincy, so it was pretty crazy, to be fair, and didn't expect it. I just expected to be in a role that would help whoever was going to be captain. It was all bedded on to be like Stevie Ward, because Stevie Ward was kind of the equivalent to Kevin Sinfield in that sense of how he conducted himself and how he did things. And we thought that, me especially thought that he was going to get it. But I never thought for myself that I would get it. That was for sure. But I ended up getting it, and it was a learning curve for me. Definitely a learning curve for me. I had that responsibility at the time. Did I feel like I had all the respect of the players? I don't know. I think I was questioning myself a little bit too much with that. I think I was thinking too much in that sense, rather than focus on the important things about winning, about making sure that we're setting the high standards. Ultimately, I did that, but I was probably thinking a little bit too much in that sense with that, because I just didn't feel like I was, at the time. I felt it was the right time for me to even be captain, or I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was going to be captain. That wasn't in my thinking. My thinking was just making sure that Leeds did better, continue to do better, because these players are gone. Like these older players, we can't rely on these players to help us bring us back. They're gone now. Like that time's gone. We've got to build something different now.
You're part of the transition, pal.
Yeah, and maybe I should have just focused more on that rather than thinking, have I got all the respect of the players? I could do that more with my actions. I could do that more with my actions, really. So at the start, it worked really well, and then I got injured, so I did my ACL again. Like halfway through that year, so it took me out for a while, and then I went through a bit of a downward spiral after that. Came back from my injuries way too early. At that time, I was in a different mindset. I was constantly just looking at the end goal. I was always looking. I wasn't setting small targets, like I said at the start there. I was in a different frame of mind, and come back well too early, and it just showed. I felt like I was confident enough to think, "Oh, I'll just give it a month or two while I'm playing. A couple of months of playing, and I'll be all right." But on top of that, us as a team wasn't playing well at all as well, so that didn't help the situation. So I wasn't really setting the best example. If I'm not playing well, I'm not setting the right example there to them players. So ultimately, I took responsibility for that. I take responsibility for handle it in that way, and I don't think I handled it as best as I could. But it's a learning curve that
You live
uh,
and learn, mate. Definitely,
live
yeah.
and learn, live and learn from it. And
Yeah.
I've always had a lot of people speak about that, and gave me a lot of confidence knowing that if I do get that opportunity again, that I'm not going to mess that up. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing the right things, making sure that I'm making small goals and targets that I can improve as a player, but then help others as well. Because ultimately, you you show the other players by your actions, and you raise the standards of how you train and how you play. You raise it to them as well. You want to make them better players as well, because ultimately that's going to just help your team. You make them do the best that they can be. Your team's going to be better. So I felt, gaining the captaincy of last season at Salford, I just kind of took it with both hands. I was buzzing. I was happy with
Ready.
it. Yeah, I was ready.
Yeah.
I was ready. I just didn't think I was ready back then. I don't think I was.
Yeah. Right, mate. So we'll rewind a little bit, and I know I sent you this, and what a game it was as well at the end of that tournament, mate. Like an ankle tap wins them a World Cup, basically, because I generally think we go on and win it, mate. I do. Like, it's just an
Yeah,
unbelievable effort from Duke, like Josh Duggan
yeah,
or Dugan, how they say it, isn't it?
yeah. It was. Yeah, it was an incredible game. I
It was.
remembered a lot of
Did
the.
it? Did
I
it
remember
feel
that.
that as well, mate?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I remembered a lot. I remember an interview that Cameron Smith did, and he said that was
yeah.
equivalent to a state of origin game. So
Right, because
he
it
said that
was
was.
like up there with one of the best games I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was. He said it was equivalent to the state of origin game. So I was like, it was one of the hardest games I've ever played in.
Yeah,
Just the conditions. It was warm. It was red hot. It was. Then obviously the atmosphere. Yeah, they had 50 plus thousand in there. It was good atmosphere, really, to be fair. And yeah, it was a tough old game. That a tough old game, and I know there was only one try that separated us. But that second half, we got into the position where we thought, look, we've got a real good chance. If we get a try here, we can then push on. Like we feel like if we score, they're gone. Like they'd have been drained, and we felt we would have pushed on from it because we felt that we were playing really well in that sense.
we
But
was.
yeah,
I think
felt
they
that
looked
was
on the
through.
knees as well, Cal. Like
Yeah,
it, so I don't like playing it to different perspective, mate, isn't it? But watching it, they look like out
yeah,
on the knees, like I
they
said.
did. Yeah, but
Just a
yeah,
wonder play.
just yeah, it was. It was kind of simple of what we did. Really, we were just playing at pace. We did a little bit of a structured move, and then Elliot Whitehead just put the ball on with pace, and I just ran alongside him and just ended up getting the ball and then dummying it and then running. I thought and play through it, and then seconds later, a little tap on my foot, and I fell off balance. I've just literally trying my best, absolutely trying my best to stay up because I can see Elliot Whitehead on the inside. But I'm not. Because I'm not out of balance. I didn't feel like I could offload the ball. Couldn't get my
Don't
arm
need to
free to
force
offload.
it there either, do we?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
if it like I'm falling, I'm thinking I can't get my arm away to then pass it because
yeah,
if I pass it, it might go forward because I'm leaning
yeah,
forward. So I just kept hold of it and think like the next play, it's got to happen the next play, but it didn't happen. But it
yeah,
wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. Like we had other opportunities to score points, and we just didn't execute
yeah,
well.
yeah,
In the end,
yeah,
they just executed the play in the first half, which they scored from. I think they had
yeah.
one other chance in the second half, but apart from that, they didn't. We had a couple more chances in that second half to win, but we didn't take it. So we were so close, devastating. On top of what it was an amazing experience, one of the best
Yeah.
experiences I've been a part of. Playing the World Cup in Australia, it was one of the best experiences that I've had. One of the best 8 weeks that I had over there. So on top of that, it was a special group that we had there, a real special
Yeah.
group. We had the best time, and it was just unfortunate we were just that a little bit off. That a little bit off winning it. It would have been one of the best moments of my life if we won that game.
we probably rode the luck against Tonga a little bit, mate, didn't we? So it swings and roundabouts, and it, mate, when
It
you put it
does.
in perspective.
It really does. I think the same thing, in the Tonga game, which was one of the best atmospheres that I've been playing. Apart from it, even the finals that I played in, that semi-final against Tonga, the atmosphere was like out of this world. It was one of the best atmospheres that I've been a part of my whole career. And when they were coming back, they just felt that they couldn't be stopped, and they made that drop ball at the end. I think what helps with that, because everyone complains maybe he stripped the ball and stuff like that. But the same thing happened in the first half. And the ref gave a knock on. So when he did it again, he just gave a knock on again.
He's going to back it, hasn't he?
Yeah, going back at it again. And it was the same player, and it was the same player that ripped it out as well. We rode our luck. Definitely, yeah, that's for sure. We rode that with it. But what an amazing! I think it was just an amazing journey. I think it was an amazing experience for us all. And to get to the final was an amazing achievement for us all. We just came up short, but it was an amazing experience, no doubt about it.
And that's what life's about, the memories and the little collections, mate, isn't it? It's how many people in England can say they played in a Rugby League World Cup final in Australia? Not many, pal, can they?
Not many. Not many can do that. And I think we made the most of it. We made the most of it what we got there as well. Which, we didn't get the result, but below that, it was an
everything
amazing.
Else was there. Yeah.
Everything else was there. Like you couldn't ask for a better journey.
No, God, mate. And then the move to Gold Coast comes about, which I think for many fans, mate, was a shocking. I won't speak on your behalf, but when I was growing up, like a move to play in Australia, like wasn't a dream. It probably is now for a lot of like mid-20s and younger, isn't it? But it, like we mentioned before, it wasn't in your face everywhere the NRL, was it? So it probably wasn't an ambition of yours initially.
No, not initially. No, not when I was a kid. Definitely not. A big goal I wanted to do was play Super League and be a part of that and stuff like that. So when the opportunity obviously did come, I felt throughout my career I could have gone earlier. I've had opportunities to go earlier. Didn't. I felt like at the time I was happy at Leeds. I was happy where I was. You know what I mean? And,
so you'd had a few approaches, Cal.
Yeah. I had a few approaches back then. I think we played in the. It was just before I signed that 5-year deal. I had a couple of teams back over there because I ended up started playing for England around that time. So I was getting asked a lot of questions about it for like the media and stuff about moving over. I said, look, I'm with Leeds. It's I'm there for the long time. So left it at that. Then obviously it came to the point there with going to the Gold Coast. It probably wasn't. It wasn't the idealist situation at that time. I think with what happened at Leeds, obviously it was real disappointing with what happened there. Knowing at the time that I had a deal and a contract with Leeds for the another 2 years before all that happened. And then obviously at the time I was coming back from injury, and they didn't. I was coming back from injury, and then I wasn't playing well. I was in good form, and then we obviously spoke about it, and they didn't want to go with the deal with it because it was a big deal basically. It was one of the biggest deals with Leeds, and at that time I expressed after the World Cup in 2017. I did express it that at a time that I did want to go and then try the NRL. So after that World Cup, I felt, look, in a year or two, maybe I'll go because I'll be in my prime at that time. So kind of expressed that to Leeds, and they were good in that sense. They were good with that. They said, look, we'll keep it on another year or two, and then you can go. And I think, right, sweet, I'm happy. I'm at that time. And then obviously the injury and stuff happened. I was captain at the time, and then obviously the injury and stuff, and form went down, and then they felt that they couldn't go on with the deal and stuff. So at that time, I felt hurt at that time, and I just felt like if I got an opportunity to go, I can go, because I knew that if they weren't going on with that 2-year deal, my previous deal was gonna run out that year. So I was either going to leave at that end of that year, or the Gold Coast came in and said, "Look, we'll take you now. We'll take you now." I don't think the circumstances were great at Leeds at that time with the club as a whole. There was a lot of movement during that time as well. So there was quite a few players that then moved on, swapped, or either got swapped as well. So went on, carried on with that, and signed at the Gold Coast mid-season, which was was a shock for a lot of people at that time. So ended up going there. Look, I enjoyed my time there. It was an amazing time, but it probably wasn't the most ideal timing. But I'm glad I got the experience to try it. I really am, because I felt if I went through my career and not even attempted to try, and not even gone over there, despite the circumstances, then I would have regretted it, because I just felt like it was an opportunity for them to kind of rejuvenate my career and do it at the highest level. What more way to do that than in the NRL? Yeah, and I enjoyed my time. I think I played, about 6 or 7 games. I think I got there, and then 4 weeks. I think I'd wait 4 weeks. There was something up with my visa, so I couldn't play for 4 weeks. So I was basically just training and getting myself ready. So I played the last like 5-6 games there of that season. Had a couple of knocks though. I broke a rib during that time, and they were pushing me not to play, but I felt like I had to. I felt like I had to play, even though they weren't playing for much because they weren't making the playoffs. I felt like I just needed time to play in NRL. However it went, I just wanted to play. So I ended up playing. A lot of the time I was jabbing up my ribs and stuff like that, and doing it at half time as well. So I was in a bit of bother with that. Then the opportunity was obviously to go and then play for. I think they were doing a Great Britain tour and stuff like that, but I just felt like I wasn't even in the right place. I wasn't playing well. I had this injury, and I felt because it was Wayne Bennett. I felt like he would, because I played for him previously. He's obviously given me a chance to do that, but I didn't feel like I was in the right place anyway. So I just said, look, I want to go do a full pre-season with the NRL and do it with the Gold Coast and make sure I'm in the best shape possible. And did that. Enjoyed a real good pre-season there. Really tough, but I'd never felt fitter or stronger in my life from it. It helped massively for me, and I was in a pretty good place. But then COVID came and hit. It was another dagger in the works as well. So I ended up then coming back. So a lot of things weren't going right back home as well. A lot of things from both sides. So I felt like I had to come back and move over. My dad wasn't too well. He got hit with the COVID as well. So he was pretty poorly from it. So he was hospitalised for quite a bit. So I ended up going back. And then from then on, just felt like just had to stay back home. So the Gold Coast were great with me, to be fair. They were really nice with what they did, and they just said, look, circumstances are difficult at the minute, especially with COVID and everything. So if you need to go back home, go back, and look, you find a club back home, and we'll support you in that sense. And then they were really good with us. So
classy, mate, isn't it? It's classy.
Yeah, which was really good, and that's where I felt like, if it wasn't COVID and stuff like that, things could have been different. Like I could have played a lot. Obviously, would have played a lot longer in the NRL. I still had another year or two on that deal. If I played that year and then felt like I did all right, maybe I could have got a better deal then, either with the Gold Coast or somewhere else in the NRL, and then moved on from there. But it didn't happen. But at the same time, I'm always grateful for the opportunity I got to play over there. Brilliant lifestyle, like, just incredible. The kids and stuff enjoyed it, and it was a great experience for them as well. So being able to do that
Wasn't
wasn't
meant to
very,
be, mate, was it?
yeah, just wasn't meant to be,
No.
and that's just part of life. And I'm just really grateful now. I'm still playing. I'm still playing at Super League and at the highest level. So yeah, still going.
Yeah. So you signed for Toronto, mate, did you? And then obviously all that happened as well.
Yeah, I did. So obviously Brian Mack was there. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a big reason I wanted to sign there. But with the COVID and everything, there was something going with their finances and stuff, and wasn't really aware of it. Wasn't aware of it when I signed on. So when I did sign on, a few weeks later, then got let know that these players weren't even getting paid. So yeah, it was kind of a difficult time during for everybody there. So I felt sorry for all them players and the staff as well that were put
Yeah.
through that. I was a small minority in there compared to what the others were dealing with, because they were getting paid months.
Yeah.
They weren't getting paid for months. I probably didn't get paid
No.
for the 3 months that I was signed there. Well, I was only
Right.
signed for 3 months. Never trained with the
Yeah.
squad. All I did was I was on Zoom calls and stuff like that with them, having meetings and stuff, just getting told when we're going to get paid again. And then
Yeah. Right.
basically got to a point where I think we were going to go back to training, because we were going to get back playing because the
Yeah.
season started up again. And then if we knew that we weren't going to get paid, none of us were going to turn up for training. So got told that we were going to get our money, then didn't get it, and then said we weren't going to train. So they just dropped out the Super League from there. And then
Right.
basically everyone got told, like, if you can find a club to go elsewhere, take it,
Yeah.
because it's just going to all matter get worse here. So I think everyone then moved on from it. So
Yeah.
that's when Salford came knocking.
Yeah. Was that quite soon, Carl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think after a couple of months, we obviously kept going, and then got to around late August time. Then it was basically when the season got started playing again, and it was like, let's see if we can find another club. And obviously that's going to be difficult at the time, because at the time everyone's on pay cuts, and
Yeah.
it's probably not going to be it's not going to look good for any club then to then sign players. You know what I mean?
Oh. Yeah.
It's not going to look good. It's not going to have a good look to that. Probably be a grievance to players and that are involved in that situation as well, being in clubs that are getting pay cuts and then signing players. So yeah, I thought it was going to be pretty difficult to probably get a club at that time. But yeah, Salford and that came in and said, look, we'll take it, and rest went on from there. It was quite great timing really for us, and yeah, five games later, played in the Challenge Cup final in the empty
That's
Wembley.
all right, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
couldn't play with that. Yeah.
So what did Boise say to you then? How did he sell Salford to you, Ian?
Look, he just said, look, where the club was at the time. Obviously, the year or so before they played in the grand final, we just, it was something that they wanted to achieve, and they wanted to achieve silverware. They just, they wanted to build in a culture that we wanted to compete with the top teams. Little old Salford, the adversity all over the place. Let's go and win a trophy. It'll be a special moment for the club, and I was really keen to do that. Really keen to do that for this club, and obviously I've got that emotional attachment to them as well, because as a kid, I was there for the highs and lows as a season ticket holder. So
Yours was a little bit different, Cal, wasn't it?
oh yeah, down in there in the shed. Yeah, it was. some memories there. I was a ball boy in that there as well, so
Was it?
I was in and amongst
Class.
it, with
Yeah.
the
The
fans and stuff
cage.
there. Yeah, yeah, the big cage,
Yeah.
the big red cage
Yeah.
coming out there. And it felt surreal as well because I remember when I started at Leeds, I think it was at '09. I think I ended up playing against Salford at Salford, so that was the first time I played there as a
Yeah.
Leeds player, and that was quite a nice moment as well, being able to play at Salford's ground there, but
Yeah, man, it
as a
was.
professional there for the first time, so it
Yeah.
was nice.
With leaky roof in the away room, and that was when we were in the town team, little leaky roof and them little
Yeah,
dodgy pegs on the wall and
yeah, yeah.
that.
Yeah, with the roof,
Oh, class.
obviously with the
The
steps and the
stand
roof,
in it.
the stand
Yeah,
was
yeah.
down and coming
Yeah.
across on the diagonal. Just
You
thinking
just
it's
hope it's
signing
not
this room.
something you don't want it to be.
No, yeah, it's bad. It's bad how that
Yeah.
was.
So, and to be honest, mate, on Salford's behalf, it's a great move because it's local boy done extremely well and come home.
Yeah,
You something like the academy or the reserves. I think they've got not so much an academy, is it, mate, that can look up to, and you're the ideal pathway to show them from these clubs. You can cut it, mate, can't you?
yeah, yeah, and I think that's massive. I think obviously it's been tough times. Obviously, I think after COVID, everything seems to have knocked things down in terms of like the academy and the reserves and stuff like that. It's probably made it a little bit difficult. Um, but I think it's good though because I think obviously with the reserves they've been playing, but they've got opportunities elsewhere as well. So I know a couple of
Yeah,
guys that have gone to Swinton, they've gone to Rochdale. A couple of players have gone elsewhere, which is good because they're going to gain experience and then work from there and then hopefully get an opportunity then to try and come back either to Salford or play Super League elsewhere, which is good.
yeah,
But then obviously, yeah, it's just again getting more kids getting more involved in playing, especially around Salford as well. Because look, we got a few teams there that can produce really good players, and hopefully I can help that in that sense by obviously representing the club as best as possible, and then what we do on the field as well. I think if we can achieve something really special and try and win a trophy, uh, which would then push us on because they got close a few years ago with the Challenge Cup and then the grand final,
yeah,
but just need to get that one step in. They need to win some sort of silverware because I think that then pushes on opportunities for the club. It has
yeah,
been tough for that club. It has been tough for the club over the past couple of years
yeah,
financially, and but I think from last year we've improved in terms of bringing the crowds in. We've got more numbers in, especially when the big teams come to town. We're getting a few more thousand in, which is really good for
yeah,
the club, and that's going to hopefully bring more opportunities to bring more sponsors in and get more income into the club because they don't spend all the cap. They can't, you know what I mean, and
yeah.
it is difficult. They've got no benefactor. They've just, they're getting supported by the club, by the fans.
Hard
Uh,
work, mate, innit? Just
yeah,
hard
it's hard
graft.
work,
Yeah,
and look, the guys at the top, they're just, they're massive fans, and they want the club to do so well. So yeah, they're going to go through difficult periods, but hopefully, from the performance side of it, the players and the club, hopefully we can do something real special and we can get a trophy. It's something that I'm aiming for anyway, and hopefully the team is as well, and hopefully we can do something really special. But it's going to take a lot of hard work. We're going to be part of a lot of adversity, and that's part of what Salford is. That's what makes it. That's what makes it special. If we do something, if we do win, lift the trophy, because of it is little old Salford. It is, we always go through hard times. Well, it's not like that other clubs do. They do, but like
yeah,
Salford, you don't expect Salford to get to finals. You don't expect Salford to win trophies. But if we can do that and do what people don't expect us to do, I just think it makes it more special.
yeah. I agree, mate, definitely. And so off the field, mate, KW3, talk to us about it and the content you're putting out, mate. Where did the idea of the KW3 Academy come from, and where did your content idea come from?
Um, to be fair, I've spoken to my partner a lot about doing something in that sense about giving people an insight. giving the people an insight of what a rugby player, a rugby league player in Super League, what they do, what they go through, how to act like a professional, just going through ways of dealing with life off the field, dealing with life when you're training, when you're just giving everyone an insight really of how it works. And I feel like that hasn't been produced for everybody to see from other players, or I just don't think the players are celebrated enough. And for me to try and do that around the back end of my career now, I think it gives everybody an insight in how I do things, but then gives an inkling of what us as a club do. And then obviously, the more the season goes, obviously when the season starts, there's going to be a lot more content with that, with travel, with obviously playing, game days. What do I do on a game day? What do I do a day after the game day? What do I do when we've got a short turnaround? What just little things like that. Just people that might be intrigued in that sense, but then also the off the field stuff. So like families, because well, my partner says it quite a lot. Like people that don't really know you, they just see you as this rugby player. They just see you as this superhero kind of aspect. Like young kids might see that as this, in that sense. But if they're giving them an insight of how, look, I have my boys on the weekends, right? And then I've got game. If I'm playing like on a Sunday, I've still got to look after my kids before that happens. It's not as if I can't. It's not as if I can just go away. You know what I mean? At times we get able to travel, and you get that time, but you're still within a group. You still have to prepare as best as possible. You've got to prepare as best as possible, albeit you've got 3 or 4 kids. For myself, 3 or 4 kids running around, wanting to go do this, wanting to go do that, and then you've got to prepare for a game on top of it. So I don't think people see that. I know a lot of people and fans don't see that. So I kind of, at that time, you probably see a lot more definitely when we're playing, because you'll get more footage of how I deal with having the kids during the morning. We've got a 3 o'clock game, on a Sunday or something like that, or even on a Saturday, because I know a lot of the time, especially in the season this year or this season coming up, we're going to play a lot of Saturday games, especially at home. So even dealing with that, or even like training. So like I'm training through the week, and then I know I've got to get the kids on the Friday. So then being able to do that, go back and pick them up, and then knowing I've got training the next day. What my partner does while I'm training, and she's got the kids. Like there's stuff like that just kind of gives everybody an insight.
And your sacrifices, Cal, innit? You'll be missing stuff that the wife has to cover for, and
exactly,
and stuff.
Exactly. And but my partner does the best that she can when I've got the boys on the weekend. So it just shows the sacrifices that people are willing to make and help you out as best as possible. So I'm always grateful for that. And it's just so important that you've got a good family behind you, and people, even if it's your friends, even if it's someone that you can talk to and get advice from, or get helping hand. You know what I mean? I think I'm very, very lucky in that sense. And I just the academy thing is just to give people an insight, and then see what comes from that. I'm going to start networking a lot more with people, with businesses, and hopefully start doing some public speaking and stuff, and going in trying to kind of tell my story, and then help out people, and then hopefully there's some little bits of coaching and stuff here and there, and then hopefully can just build a brand with it and work from there. But I think my kind of goal with it is just to kind of give people an insight of what it's like to be a professional rugby league player during these times.
Showing a little bit of the human side as well, mate.
Yeah, and then exactly showing everybody what goes behind the scenes as well, when you've got responsibilities, and when you've got to deal with pressures, you've got to deal with losing, you've got to deal with being able to see what happens when that happens behind the scenes, and how it can affect you, and how how you get back from it and how you can learn from it. So kind of an insight, really.
Yeah, mate. And that's part of the reason I started this, mate, because there's more than you just a game day. You
It
are
is.
a dad, a brother, a son, partner, a friend. Yeah,
Yeah.
rugby's not all your life; it's a part of your life.
Yeah, that's it. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I think it's such a massive thing that a lot of the time I've learned is, especially with the results and when you play, is about not bringing the game home with you, because at the end of the day, what's more important? What is more important? It's your family, it's your health, it's everyone around you that loves you. I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, the game's special. Like the game's special to me. Like it's been my life. It has been my life. But I've learned along the way that that doesn't last forever. It doesn't. So you gotta kind of like I say, I'm doing this academy thing. I'm just giving everybody an insight of, look, it's rugby's a big part of my life, but I've got other things that are above that, and we try and kind of show everybody how that can combine and be able to show balance in your life as well. Because yeah, when you're younger, you've hardly got any responsibilities. You just play. You know what I mean? You play and you enjoy your time. But then once you start getting responsibilities, you realise then, look, it's a really important part of your life. Yeah, whatever you do, but you make sure you get home to your families and you spend that quality time when you can. You obviously you sacrifice things, you miss stuff if you're away training, if you're away playing and stuff like that. You miss them hours and stuff. You miss them times with your kids, like on the morning. So like you play, or if I'm training like Saturday, like this Saturday, like I'm training tomorrow, training Friday. So I pick the kids up after training tomorrow, and then we've got training on Saturday. So I don't see him on the morning. Because I'll have to set off early to get to training, so I won't see them then for the next few hours. So I missed that morning when they jump in bed and wake you up, and I'm already out the door. So
unless they
yeah,
want to wrestle.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, or they're all wrestling, each other. They're all wrestling each other. But yeah, yeah, but that's what it's all about, mate. I think
Yeah,
the family aspect of it, and I think when I do finish playing, I think the big thing that I'll probably miss is the groups, the camaraderie, the laughs, the going out there to battle with your team, and that's the thing especially when I finish playing. I know I'll miss massively. Yeah, the successes, the trophies, the great moments, and the memories. They'll always be there. But I think the main thing is being there as a group. I think if you kind of make it a family environment, then it always makes it a lot more special.
yeah, mate. No, I don't like that. So a few daft questions, mate. I'm gonna get you in trouble, so I'll fly through them.
All
Any
right.
pre-match superstitions?
No, not really. You know what? Right, I am really chilled. I'm just
You come across
I
it, to
work
be
off.
fair.
Yeah, I work off what my mood is. Really, I work off my mood.
Yeah,
I don't listen to music all the time. There might be some games that I do, some games that I don't. Some games
yeah.
I feel pretty comfortable just chilling out, having a little bit of a laugh with the lads, and then when it comes to warming up, and then I'll focus then.
You
But
turn it on, and
nothing,
then yeah,
yeah, nothing really superstitious with me, to be fair. Which is kind of unusual because a lot of players do have their
you
superstitions,
do,
but
yeah,
yeah, for me, I work off what mood I'm in, really, to be fair.
yeah. Right. So this next word, mate, is defined however you define it. It's different for everybody, isn't it? But the toughest player you played with and against.
Toughest player I played with, I'd probably say Jamie Peacock,
Yeah,
because he had that warrior mindset, and his leadership was his actions, but he'd tell you what he's going to do. So when, especially like before a game, even in the week, he'd always single out what he was going to do in the game, and he'd go out and make it a goal that he was going to do it. And 9 times out of 10, he'd do it. And you think, wow, look, how's he done that? Like, especially during the back end of his career, where literally he couldn't train all week. Like, he was that sore. And when it came to game time, he just knew what he needed to do. And he'd tell you before that, and you'd rise to his standards. But what the big example for me for him was, especially when you've back down in yardage and they've done a big kick and they've chased really hard the opposition and they've tackled you in like the back 10, and he's always got his hand up and he's always carrying the ball, trying to get you through when everyone's tired, when everyone doesn't want that ball, doesn't want to take them three, four tacklers rushing at you. He'll take it and take the whack. That was a prime example of what a warrior he was. And I think the hardest or the toughest player playing against, it's a tough one. I had obviously a couple of guys over in Australia. So there's Greg Inglis. He was a difficult player to play against because he was the total athlete. He was super strong. He was big. He was fast. He had great feet. He could bully anybody on the field. But then also, I think, especially back in the Super League days, Gareth Ellis was a tough guy as well. I think, obviously, I played with him early on at Leeds, but then when he came back from the NRL and played at Hull, when we played against him, he was always real tough to play against because you run at him, he'd whack you, and when he carried the ball, he had great feet, great ability to pass and offload, but just an overall tough competitor. So he was probably one of the toughest to play against, but there'd have been many more, definitely for sure. But he's one that stands out.
Yeah, mate. So your favourite away ground that you've played at?
Tough one. Early on, I would say Hull FC's ground. I just think because of the atmosphere. I think when we played there, when I was at Leeds, I think the atmosphere just stood out for me through the away games there. But then again, I like the old school grounds. I do like the Cass.
Like Cass and that.
Yeah, like Cass and Wake, like the old school grounds. Like I do enjoy playing at Cass. To be fair, I know it's a small pitch, but I just think when it's full, I just think the atmosphere is it's just different. It's just old school. You're getting yelled at all the time.
And you can hear it.
You're getting all sorts of abuse. There is a few grounds like Hooker. That can be intimidating. That crowd can make a massive difference in a game. They really can. With how they support their team and how they go out over teams. So probably the whole grounds, and then obviously the probably Cass.
Right, mate. So if you could go back and tell a younger Kallum something, what would it be?
I think for me, just make sure that you enjoy your time. Make sure that you enjoy every moment. I think always look back and think that you're grateful for whatever you go through and whatever experiences that you go through. But then just make sure that you're always learning. I just think early on at the time, I was a bit quiet. Just make sure that you've got the confidence then to be curious and make sure that you learn from the best people that, going through rugby league, you got to learn from the best players and how their traits and work from there. And just obviously, I've always said it myself, just to back yourself. And I just felt like at them times I backed myself. And if I was to tell anyone that's younger that wants to make it, just back yourself, but believe in yourself. And if you've got that belief and you work hard at it, you work hard at your game, work hard at improving as a player and as a person as well, it just puts you in the best place possible. So regardless of whatever result or whatever happens, you can live with that result because you know you've tried your best. And I always feel that way because not everything's perfect and not everything's going to go your way. But if you've done everything possible that you can, you can live with that. You can live with the results, and good things happen to people that work hard and that are patient. So, yeah, I probably say that just be more curious and learn even more to be better.
So you've had a few. You're out with the lads. The microphone's in your hand, mate. What are you going to give us?
Oh, yeah. I have a good sing along with my missus quite a bit. I like Prince. I like Prince.
Yeah.
It's either Little Red Corvette or I Want to Be Your Lover. That's what I'd
To get
sing.
it involved, like leading the mic
Yeah,
across, and you give it a
yeah,
but yeah.
yeah. But we have a go. We have a go at times. I think
Class.
hopefully we'll do something when we finish obviously training for Christmas. We'll probably go out for a drink and stuff like that, and then do a bit of
That's
karaoke.
getting shared. That's getting
Yeah,
shared.
we'll get it. We'll get it up on Instagram. We'll make sure you see
Yeah.
it. It'll be good. But yeah,
Brilliant, mate.
yeah, all good, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
always have fun. That's it. We've always got to have fun.
Exactly, mate.
That's it. You got to
Exactly.
show. You got to show your personality and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah, I'm confident I'll do all right with that. But we've sung it quite a few
Brilliant.
times, so.
Yeah.
But
So you don't even need the words.
no, I don't think I do.
Class.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, brilliant, mate. And if you're willing to, because I understand you're still playing at the high level, mate. 1 to 13 that you've played with.
1 to 13. Yeah.
Yeah,
So fullback was a difficult one because I played with a couple of good fullbacks. I played with Brent Webb, Hardacre, of course. Then Niall Ebbels as well through at Salford, and obviously Dan Sargentson and then Ryan Braley as well. So, but I'm going to stick with Zach Hardacre because I think his impact when he played was immense, and when he came in at Leeds, they showed all the confidence and ended up being a real success at Leeds. He's been an incredible player. Incredible player for us. Then on the wings, obviously one Ryan Hall, and another incredible player, still playing now. Obviously with Hull KR still going, big boy. Yeah, he's a big boy, but he's still super quick, still good at what he does. He's got all that experience in the world, and then try scoring record, incredible. What he did for England as well. Incredible amount of tries that he scored for England at international level, but also in Super League as well. So been an incredible player for Leeds and obviously for KR as well. And then other winger was a difficult one because I played with quite a few. I played with Scott Donald, Ben Jones Bishop, and then Tom Briscoe, a few others as well. And probably, for me, I'm going to stick with Tom Briscoe. I think Tom Briscoe was an incredible player and still is now, showing his great experience there at Lee now. And then obviously our time at Leeds as well. It was an incredible ride. It's probably obviously the best times in terms of the success that we had at that time there. And obviously me and him was playing together on the same side. So a great amount of experience. Super strong player. Very hard to handle when you're in the contact and trying to tackle him, trying to put him on his back. Rarely gets put on his back because he's so strong. So he's so strong. But a big thing for me was when obviously if we were in a little bit of trouble in yardage, he would carry the ball, he would try and get a penalty. And majority of the time he'd get one because he was so strong and so hard to handle. So yeah. Then obviously got the centres.
Pins at 3.
Who's into 3? No, I don't. I wouldn't pick myself. I would go for obviously there's 2 that stand out for me. There's Joel Moon and there's Keith Senior. So then Keith Senior, obviously we all know about Keith. He's an incredible player, incredible centre, international, superb player, but a guy that I learned quite a lot of in the centres early on in that full time environment, because I think I was with him there for 3 or 4 years before he moved on, and then he obviously got an injury. He did his ACL one of the years, and then that ended up getting infected, which caused all sorts of problems. So he just stopped playing after that. So I learned quite a lot from Keith. He was an incredible player, but I always tried to help him out as well, because he'd always want to practice. He'd always want to do extras, and he'd get me involved with it all, just trying to be better, just trying to get better. And then obviously Joel Moon, he was a maverick of a player. He had everything really. He very, very skillful player, very underrated player. Was a tough defender. He didn't want to run straight at him. He would pick you up. He was super strong. But then with the ball as well, he was really strong with how he carried the ball. He was very skillful. Ended up playing six there at the end, his time at Leeds, and then and it showed with he's just a natural footballer, just a natural player, natural rugby player, and a great lad as well, and great family. But yeah, just he was part of that success as well, and I don't think he got from the outside enough credit with how much he impacted the team as well. So I'd give him a lot of credit in that sense. I think a lot of the players saw it. Yeah, a lot of the players agreed how much of a good player he was, but I don't think people on the outside saw, how much of a good player he was. He was an outstanding player for us when we were at Leeds. Then 6 and 7, you got 6 and 7. You got Danny Maguire and Rob Burrow. Obviously, a lot can be said for both of them guys. Obviously, Danny Maguire, amazing player. He was a guy that if you want to compete with him with everything in terms of sport and games, in terms of golf, in terms of table tennis, pool, everything, he was so good at everything. The big thing for me with Danny Maguire was I knew if I made a break down the right hand side, if I was at the centres and I made a break down the right hand side, he was always on me inside, because he was so good with his anticipation that something was going to happen. So his support play was probably one of the best that I've ever seen or been a part of, because he'd always see what would happen. He was always focused on the next part more than anybody else. And in them big games, he was always the guy that stepped up. He was always the guy that always came with the best performance. And it showed when he played his last game for Leeds. So when he played his last game for Leeds against Cass in the grand final, he was just streets above everybody else. He just totally controlled
it.
Yeah, he just totally controlled it. Controlled the team. I think he just developed, because I remember early on when I watched him, it was all the support play, and there wasn't as much organisation. Whereas as he grew as a player, his organisation skills and his leadership skills grew, and I think that showed during the end of that time and at the end of his career how much that impacted the team. And I think when we won that grand final that year, in his last game, what more of a way to go out like that, to be man of the match, to completely control the game for us, and because he knew how to do it. He knew he had the experience. He's done it before. He's been the big game player before, and he showed it one more time. And that was incredible for us. And then obviously Rob Maverick, that absolute sensational player, was always one of my favourite players to watch when I was younger. Defied the odds with his height. Was an absolute nightmare for everybody, especially around that middle, all the way through his career. But obviously, what he's going through now with his family and himself, he's just showing that true warrior and mentality that he's always had. He'd always dealt with adversity. He's always dealt with, being I don't know, just outsider or just being away from that kind of group. But we all knew what he was like as a player. We all knew that he was a special player, and but a lot of the players, including myself, knew how special he is as a bloke, as a person. And his big thing was family. His big thing was always family. So when I spoke to Rob, a lot of the time it was always about family. It was never about rugby. It was always about how your family is and just about his life as well. How grateful his life has been as well. And I know it's a really difficult and tough situation that he's in at the minute. And it's sad to see. It is sad to see because he's such an amazing person.
Yeah.
Such an amazing person, and he's got such a great family.
Yeah.
His wife is doing an incredible job. His family, his young kids. It's amazing to see that. But the support that he's been getting as well, it's been incredible. Like Kevin Simpson doing all that stuff for charity, the runs and the marathons. He's doing the seven marathons in 7 days. That's just incredible.
Monster, mate,
It's incredible, but it just shows the support that that he's got from everybody and the people that are close to him. But the big thing that stood out for me for Rob was just him as a person, just being a great guy. We knew what he could do on the field. Did some special moments. One of my favourite tries was when he scored in that grand final against St Helens when he ducked under the player. Yeah. What a try that was. Like, I was in the stands there watching. I was in the stands there watching by the bench. I remember I was injured at the time, so I missed out that year. But I remember him scoring that try, and after that, we just felt nothing can stop us now. We can go on and win that. That was special. Moving on to the number 8, the front row, obviously 8, 9, and 10. 8 was, I know, a difficult one, and Kyler Lulawai stood out for me massively. I think just him, he was obviously a real good guy, a real family guy. But when he was on the field, it was tough. He was a tough guy to play against. He would fold you, if you ran straight at him. And again, he just gained that experience. I think he ended up being one of them experienced leaders when obviously I was there. Obviously coming over from overseas is one of the top obviously signings for Leeds, and he showed that in terms of his performances, in terms of him folding people, him tackling people. It's obviously well known, and I remember they did that game for Leeds. It was for Rob actually. And I remember he came on against Bradford.
Absolutely bent.
Yeah, he's been retired 2-3 years, 3-4 years, and he's come kind of smashed all the Bradford players around. So he was incredible. He was an incredible player for Leeds, and he was obviously part of that success during that time. And number 9 obviously was a difficult one. Played with quite a good few number 9s. For example, Matt Diskin, you got Danny Badaris, you've got Paul Ayton, who was a big player for us over the 2 years during that time. And then we've got a couple of guys there, Andy Ackers, who's shaped up to be an incredible player. But for me, I always asked, even though he wasn't here, even though he wasn't at Leeds long, I think Danny Badaris was someone that just stood out to me. And it showed, because I remember watching early on in my time at watching like Stereo Origins and stuff, and he was the one that was playing, and he was the one that was leading the New South Wales team and stuff. So he was kind of someone that I kind of looked up to during that time. But then when he ended up coming here, it was like, wow, a player like that is coming over to play. And I think the first part of that first year, he played a few games, but then he got injured. He had a big injury. I think he broke his leg. And we thought, this situation might not end long. But he stayed another couple of years. So, him and his family really enjoyed Leeds. He enjoyed the time over here. And again, he finished off with a grand final win at the end. which was special. So, but I just think overall his leadership, his hard work, but just on overall top fella, top fella. You showed with his experience and willing to work hard, his professionalism. He just showed the right example for the player at that time, and then for the other players. So I learned quite a lot from Danny Vidaris, and he was a special player for us. And then obviously 10, Jamie Peacock. Like I said, he's someone that always stood out for me. He was the toughest player I played with. I'm so lucky and glad that he was on my side rather than the other opposition. He was just a prime example, a total leader with his actions and what he was going to do. The success that he achieved, especially at Bradford and for Great Britain, England, and then Leeds as well, it just showed his mentality and his will to win. And he pulled players alongside him, and that he was a big prime example of how to win and being able to deal with certain situations, adversities, be able to come out the other side. And he always showed a great example of that. Massive. Yeah. Number 11, the two back rowers. One would be Gareth Ellis, again, one of the top players, especially in his prime. He went over obviously to the NRL. I thought it was a real success over there, which was big for players. Obviously, Adrian Morley did that years ago before then, but he showed a great example of how he made it in the obviously in the Super League, but then also the NRL. He did really well there, and then in the international scene as well. But I just think his overall toughness, how he played the game, he was a real competitor, and someone that really stood out for me when I started at Leeds, and trained with him quite a bit in the weights in the gym and stuff like that with him. So he helped me out quite a lot in the early stages of being at Leeds before he went. And then obviously played. I remember playing first England game, and he was my back rower when I was playing in the centres. So yeah, he put me in for a few tries, which was nice. But yeah, he was just a prime example of a quality player. Deserved everything that he got, and top fella as well. And then number 12, Sam Burgess. He stood out for me, obviously playing for England and stuff. I remember playing him early doors when I started playing in the first team. He was playing at Bradford at the time, and I remember him running over the top of me at Magic Weekend. They just showed that what a quality player he was going to be. And then a few years later, he ended up in an RL. And the success there that he had there he's obviously well known over there now. And then now coach at Warrington, which has been quite an interesting story. I see how it goes, but I think with his mentality, I think again it shows that leadership kind of style. He's got good qualities, actions to speak for itself when he's on the field, and I think you know what I think he can be a success at Warrington with his coaching. I don't, it's going to be new for him. I think dealing with players. I think he's got a couple of players there that he's played with as well. For internationals as well. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes with that. I think he'll do really well. I think he'll do really well.
I do, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, I just think he's got that mentality, and I think he's not coached at the highest level, but he has been assistant coach and at the Rabbitohs, and I think he'll do really well there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think with his mentality, his leadership, I think he'll get the best out of them players. Definitely, for sure.
Yeah.
And then 13, Kevin Sinfield. I think what a player, what a leader he was for us. Wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, but up there in his mind, he was the best with that. He knew what to say at the right times. He knew the adversities that he's been through, the times that he was captain at a very young age as well. So he had a lot of learning to do. And I think with us coming at the right time, during the time where they started to be successful, he knew what it took to get the best out of his players. So when I did come in at that time, I knew what it was all about, his professionalism, make sure he looked after his body. He was traveling a lot as well. He's traveling from Oldham and stuff to Leeds every day, going by himself. So learned quite a lot from him because I was still traveling over from Manchester as well, early doors. So yeah, learned quite a lot from him through there. But then obviously playing alongside him, I think majority of my career, I played alongside him. I played like next to each other when we were attacking or defending. We had that connection. So to learn that from one of the top players, one of the elite players in the world in world rugby, I think it was an amazing time with him, and learned quite a lot from him for his leadership style. And again, another player where the big moments, he was able to deal with them big moments and come up with the goods, come up with something special to help us achieve what we wanted to achieve. And I think that's just top leadership. And he did set the example for everybody, the ultimate professional. Like, if you want a perfect captain, he's probably one of them guys that you'd look up to and think that's near close perfect.